Hey, good Sunday evening. What's up, John? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Ruben, good to see you, pal.
Thank you. Likewise, man. Thank you. So, thank you so much for doing this. I'm so happy we finally get to do this.
Yep.
It's nobody watching knows, but it's something that I wanted to do for a long time. But like I said, I wanted to. I've told a lot of people I wanted. There's a lot of people that I've wanted to have on the show with me for a long time, but a lot of friends that I have in the hobby are not they're not, they don't watch these types of sort of YouTube shows or whatever, And so I thought, well, let me try to get through inviting as many people as I can remember from the people that do watch the shows, and that way, everybody.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that way everybody gets to know each other a little bit more. It's like, oh, we know him from the chat. Oh, so it's always somebody from the chat every week, most of the time. Yeah. So I thought that was good. And yeah, I kind of recently finally started feeling like, okay, I think I'm running out. Let me start asking my other friends who don't typically show up, So it's nice. That's nice that you were willing to do this. And I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No problem. Like I said, I've been enjoying catching the show the last couple of weeks. Usually on Sundays I have my daughter, and now it's Saturday, so it's
Right.
worked out.
So it works. Good. It works out. I got my coffee still. Don't worry. Vivian's ready to come and get my cup so she can wash it for me. That's so
Hi,
funny.
Vivian.
John just said hello. I don't know if you heard that. You just screamed out, "Hi, John!"
Great family pictures from Canada today, by the way.
What's that? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I figured, well, I got to do something. Let's go out and spend the day doing a little bit. At least taking advantage of the nice weather, whatever. And thankfully, it was nice weather. So, yeah, I appreciate that. Excuse me. So before we jump in and say hello to everybody here, just let me quickly get the promos out of the way. I think I got a couple here. I didn't check if there was anything new today, so I'm hoping not. But in any case, everybody, Karl has a colorful gift from a fellow collector. That's what he called it. And that's his latest video. I believe that's the latest video. So I'm popping the link in there. So that's Karl's collection. That's the name of the channel. It's Karl Sodergren, who is usually here. And will probably be coming in a little bit late. And then we have our buddy Mike at nsnart.com. And that is a mystery comic art reveal, as I recall. And here we go. So that's another link for you, Mike. I don't know if you're there, if you're in the chat yet, Mike, but check that out. And who else? Is there anything else? We got Carly at NSN. I believe that's it. Other than Nikki B. And Nick, I know you're not here. Probably, I'm assuming you're not here. Jay did not get me the link again, and I again could not find it. So I don't know if this Friday's show is scheduled yet. So couldn't do anything about that. But as usual, I will remind everybody with this thumbnail, just to let everybody know, and it's always at Friday's show is the EXP, the original art experience, and it is a combination a sales show / talk show that Nick does every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. And this past Friday, it was actually he couldn't make it, and so it was, and I didn't have a chance to see it on Rewind because I was at the Montreal Comic Con and I could not also make it. So it was supposed to have been Spencer taking over for Nick and selling art. So I guess you guys in the chat will let me know if that's ultimately what happened. I'm assuming it is. But this coming week, it's supposed to be Nick coming back. So let's hope that that's the case. And yeah, check it out. Okay, so that's it for the promos. No other friends channels have shows or videos this week. All right, let me jump in here, say hi to everybody. Let me catch up now. Mr. Red Jack, number one, of course, the first guy. Good to see you, sir. I hope you're still around, but if not, Have a good shift, and hopefully you'll enjoy the show as you work. What else we got? Of course, I said hi to you, the first 4 of you who are here. Number 1 Marl fan, what's up, Tom? What's up, Sonny? What's up, Rick? Good to see you guys. Jason Ladwig, what's up, sir? And might as well pop this since you're saying hello to John. Great gallery, he says.
Thank you.
Indeed. John Brown, good evening to you as always. Thank you, sir. And okay, you guys saying hello to each other. And my wife saying hello to you. All right, back and forth. Hellos. There's the man of the hour as always. What you gonna do when the Cogan maniacs run wild on you? Marcus Way, what is up? What's up? Hopefully
Canucks will run amok.
What's that?
The Canucks will run amok.
The Canucks will run amok. I like that one.
The Canucks.
Hope you still got your 10 fingers and 10 toes, Marcus, after your July 4th celebrations. You're here and you're typing, so I would assume you have at least your fingers, if not your toes. So the Oklahoma kids in the house. What's up, Dwayne? Good to see you. Did I just see? Okay, that's Vivian's hello. Right, that's welcome. Vivian's hello to you. And Caesar, what's up? Hi to me and to you. And Caesar, you'll for sure like tonight because John. Well, everybody should like tonight, even regardless of whether you're Marvel or DC oriented. For the great selection of artists alone, you should enjoy it. But yes, it is very heavily DC skewed.
Yes, it is.
And I make no excuses for that. I love it. I love Marvel, but I love my DC too. So all good, baby, all good. And just a ton, like I said, a ton of great artists represented. So that's really cool. What's up, Cody? Good to see you, dude. And whoa, look at Lance in the house to start the show, no less. What's up? John is a great collector and a very good friend of mine. I am very happy to see him here. Have fun, you too. Thank you. Though that sounds, Lance, like you're leaving us again. Sounds like you're saying hello to say hello and then have a good show means you're leaving, which makes me sad. But I know you're going to go spend the time with Robin and, all that stuff. All right. No worries. But thanks for dropping in and saying hello, man. And more hellos. What's up, JC? Good to see you. Rickster, yes, sir. A little bit of coffee. And it's making me sweat, by the way, because it's really hot in here as it is. And, hot liquid is making me sweat now. So that's not really fun, but I'll start washing it down with the cold water right after I'm done. Oh. Yes, sir. The caffeinator. Absolutely. Greetings to you, Jeff. What is up? Oh, Mr. Australia himself. What's up, David? G'day to you. Good to see you. Thanks as always for tuning in. I hope your work week is starting off well so far. CJ, what's up? What's up? Good evening to you. And John C. Look at that. What's up, Jello? And who else we got? There you go. You were here already, Mike. All right, I should have known. You're always here. Cool, man. No worries. And it was a fun little video. And you know what, Mike? I like that you keep them short because mines are so long. So the more channels that I watch, the more I hope that they're shorter. Fun, good stuff. And let's see. Hey, Jeff. Good day to everybody. There you go. Thanks from John himself. Good day, coffee. Lance always doing. You're owing Lance an email. Hey, Maki Poo Poo. What's up, Michael? Good to see you. And CJ, hello. Hi, John. Great name. Give your parents a pat on the back, says John. Of course. You and, I don't know, what would be the estimate? Like, across the world? Like, 10 million? Like, I can't even hazard a guess, to be honest. But it's got to be, like, millions, right?
I get the same initials as Jesus Christ.
There you go.
And I'm Jewish too, so
perfect. Yeah, you're fitting the what do you call it, the
flames.
I'm not fanning the flames. I'm saying you're fitting the. However, you got to fit Jesus Christ. We're looking for a guy named John. Perfect, right? You got the same initials. Perfect.
Yeah. Like every time you call John C, because starting in high school, that's when the nicknames and, JC, Johnny C, all those things started. Yeah. And it wasn't even until I was in college that someone pointed out that those were Jesus Christ's initials also, because that's just not something you think about when you're Jewish.
Wow, not until you were in college that it dawned on you. Wow.
My other friends were Jewish too, so.
Yeah. That's pretty funny though. Wow. It's cool. Okay, so everybody, are we caught up? Everybody's saying hello. Vive la France, says Monkey Poo Poo. Oh, I didn't know what happened with the games today. What happened? Was France won? What happened?
Nice.
When is the final, anyways? I know that hasn't happened. Soccer, we're talking about soccer, people. I'm sure Monkey Poo Poo, you will let us know. Spain won, so I'm good with that. Arby's potato cakes are back. Discuss. Nice.
Okay. Go back.
Oh, just putting. I type with my toes, type and leave comments with another appendage. Hands free. Nice. Nice. I know you're capable, man. I have all the faith in the world that you're capable of doing that for sure. For sure. Shut the front door. Don't kid about these things. DC is the best, says Stanley. Look at that. Stanley revealing what he really likes, apart from shows that go 5 hours, What's up? Good to see you. Wife got 5 guys for dinner. Wow, your wife got 5 guys in the house for dinner, aren't you? Are you getting a little? I hope you're like really confident, because otherwise I think you'd be jealous. Your wife brings the 5 guys home for dinner. I hope they're not fighting over her. But okay, use your weekly art find. All right. Epic Comics are the best. I've seen John's collection. It is fantastic. It is, Caesar, for sure. I know. I figured you would. Yeah, I figured that. So, and what's up? What's up, Jason? Good to see you, man. All right. Okay, so we are caught up. Oh no, we're not. Oh shit, a few more. Sorry. A few more hellos. And then the Kyle MacLachlan Arby's commercials have been hilarious the last 2 weeks. I don't really watch TV anymore, so I would not have seen them. If I combine all my videos for the year, I might be able to make a 4-hour video. That's true. But don't do that. People love to see the shorter ones. Nobody's got patience for this long shit anymore, John Cougar, Mellencamp. I used to love it when he went by John Cougar. He added the Mellencamp. Yeah. Carl Choi, what's up? Good to see you. What is up? Happy Sunday to you too, for sure. Absolutely. And if anybody else like me went to a convention this weekend, I hope you guys had a good time.
Nice.
Let's see, 2 minutes drive from Arby's. Jeff, what are you talking about Arby's? You guys is funny. French elections. Oh, French elections. Okay, so is Macron still in power or not? That's all I need to know. Just tell me who's in power. Is it Macron? Yes or no? Hey, Lee, what's up? Lee Parmenter saying hi. Ruben, John, and the rest of the Peanut Gallery. What's up? Good to see you, man. Dog cam. Yes, John's fitting us well with the dog. We've got a third guest here on the side, a second guest on the side here. Yeah, so John lives with wolves? I wouldn't.
It's an Aussie Shepherd.
Yeah, there you go.
He is a very hairy, fluffy Aussie Shepherd.
There you go, Aussie Shepherd. So perfect for David Barr. David Barr is going to be happy all the way in Australia. An Aussie Shepherd. There you go. We got a dog for you today, David. Look at that. Right. Awesome.
Take yourself downstairs.
All right. So now I am apparently caught up. That's excellent. So yeah. Oftentimes we don't get into the chatting with the guest until another half hour from now, because we're just shooting the shit like crazy here. Yes, David, that's exactly. Aussie. Yes. That's exactly right.
Australian Shepherd dog.
Yes. But save time and get right into this. So, John, you pretty much know how this works. Basically, we would love it to get you to know you a little bit more as a collector. Sure. If you don't mind sort of just telling us a little bit about how you discovered comics, what age, put the ages and the years in if you can remember them. It helps put like the timeline, it helps us, especially me. I'd like to know where was I at the time that, you know, when you were, what was I doing when you were getting into
You
that?
weren't born.
You what?
You weren't born yet.
Maybe not. Hey, we're not that far apart in age, so I probably was born. But yeah, no, yeah. Just so tell us, you know, when you discovered comic books and how and at what point that led to you, you know, finding and collecting artwork.
Sure. Actually, for me, I'm one of those who can't pinpoint a specific comic as my first because I grew up and I just remember comics always being around. I had an older brother and who's also into comics, and my parents would just buy us comic books because they figured out that the cartoons were the gateway drugs for us. You know, the reruns of the Adam West Batman and the Saturday morning cartoons and all that stuff. My brother and I were hooked on superheroes. We loved them. And growing up as a kid, it was, you know, the old Filmation, the Hanna-Barbera Super Friends, the Spider-Man reruns, the Adam West reruns, and all that stuff that I watched. And, you know, I grew up not too far from you, Montreal West, Côte St. Luc area. And back then, and snow would be on the ground by the third week of November and wouldn't leave till early April.
Yeah.
So comics was a good way to keep my brother and I shut up and quiet in our rooms and not fighting and all that stuff. So they bought us pretty much, you know, whatever we saw on the racks and the spinner racks at the variety stores and the five and dimes.
That's huge. That's huge, man. You know, we've talked about this on my channel a lot, you know, about what kind of parents did you have? Were they supportive? Were they not supportive? You know, and I had non-supportives. Well, my mom was neutral, but my dad was like, you know, yeah, not a fan, you know, whatever. And so, yeah, so every time I hear another collector saying that, oh yeah, you know, not only were they supportive, but they were buying us the comics. Yeah, it does my heart, you know, good, you know, to hear that. I mean, because, you know, really, honestly, look, some parents don't know better, whatever. But yeah, if they're prescient enough to understand that, hey, anything to get a kid reading earlier in life, the better it'll be for them. Right. Yeah. Good for you. And, you know, also, even if it's not for that, even if it's just to, you know, get them out of my hair, give them some reading material, it's good. Right. So, yeah. So you're very lucky. You're very fortunate that you had parents like that. And let me ask you one thing, though. When they were buying you the comics, did they get you like whatever you both like wanted? Or was it like you kind of got a pile and you had to share them? How did that work?
So we shared our collection growing up. You know, we took turns. I mean, like I said, I was probably so young that I remember my brother reading the comics to me. I think the other John C. said that as well.
Yes.
Which, you know, brought back.
Too, right? Wow.
My older brother would read to me comics when I was younger. And it's funny, but there's one comic he wouldn't read to me when we were younger. My parents would take my brother and I to an old bookstore in the Canary Square area. And we'd, in the basement, they had comics in like shopping bags, brown paper shopping bags. And we'd buy back issues because back then, stories would say, you know, see Batman, you know, 199 for the first appearance of whoever or whatever. And, you know, from editor notes, and we'd want to seek out that issue to read it. And we'd go buy back issues and we'd share them. And there was a Teen Titans back issue that I bought that my brother wouldn't read to me. I own the splash page to that issue now. But it dealt with anti-Semitism in the beginning of the issue. And that's why I wouldn't read it to me.
Oh, that's why I wouldn't. Wow.
Yeah, which is interesting because it was written by Wolfman and illustrated by Gil Kane.
Yeah, yeah. But see, that's the thing is it's interesting because I kind of think like, oh, maybe he could have used it as a learning opportunity, but I guess it was more at that age. You're like, oh no, you shouldn't be hearing this. I don't want him to hear this. Right?
I think he was trying to be protective. Yeah, that people aren't going to beat me up when I go outside or something like that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And by the way, so what age would you have been when you first started getting comics and your brother was reading them to you?
I mean, I'd have to guess that I probably was flipping through comics and stuff. Yeah. 2, 3, 4. Because my brother's 2.5 years older than me. Yeah. And so I'm sure he was reading them. He's not dyslexic like me. So He's fine. You know, he's really.
But that means he already had to have started kind of like earlier than most kids as well. Then.
Well, I'm not sure when or exactly how, but like I said, as far as I remember, and I never asked him, and we aren't that close anymore. But
okay.
It just like I remember, just always being around. And snowy days, I'd like just grab a stack and crawl back into bed, and go just sit and read and stay warm.
Yeah. That's awesome. And at what point, as you got older, at what point did you sort of like get money for the first time and become able to like start buying your own comics?
Well, my parents, when I was younger, started giving my brother and I each an allowance, and they would take us to buy the comics, but we were spending our own allowance money. But they gave us a portion of our allowance to save, and a portion they gave us like $2 a week to spend.
Right.
And that was like candy and comics.
Okay, yeah. See, that's the same as me when we started getting allowance, right? But I peaked at $2 a week. For the longest time, it was only $1. And the problem with me, and this is the big difference between you guys and me, was that not only that, yes, like I could take that allowance and spend it on comics or candy and chocolate and whatever, junk food. But at the same time, I was also expected that when it came to birthdays and Christmas and Mother's Day, Father's Day, that I was expected to still be able to have to buy gifts for my sister, my father, mother. So it's kind of like, how am I supposed to, on $1 a week, how am I supposed to spend it on my junk food and comics or whatever, what it's really meant to be for, and yet also save up to give gifts during these anniversaries or what? Like, that's nuts. I thought it was nuts, but yeah, it didn't work very well. Let's just say that,
Yeah.
And look at that, Karl Choi saying, "Hey, I'm dyslexic too."
Yep.
It's not an uncommon thing,
Yeah. And to CJ, my parents spoiled my brother and I when it came to that stuff, because if we weren't entertained, we wound up beating the shit out of each other, because we shared a room together for the first like 12 years of my life. So
yeah. Yeah, and CJ, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it ultimately became for me when I could, delivering newspapers, occasionally shoveling snow. Exactly, yeah. That's it. Getting a secondhand comic, yes, sir. Room the Bitter Child. I wasn't bitter, but I just felt like, what the hell, man? It seems unreasonable. I was like 12 when I started reading comics, so up until I was 12, yeah, it all went to like chocolate bars and stuff. But when I started reading comics, and at 12, that was around the time they started telling, yeah, okay, like you got to learn how to, when it's somebody's birthday, you give them a gift. So your sister or your own mother or your father, and it's like, oh, okay. It's not like I didn't want to, but it's just I would need to not spend on junk food in order to save up to get anything worthwhile. Like I just thought it was really unreasonable for a 12-year-old to have to buy the family members gifts when all I'm getting is $1 a week. So that's it. No bitterness.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So, well, when you were 12 and just starting to learn, get into comic books, I had just moved to Los Angeles in June of '79 when I was 12.
Yeah.
And one of the selling points my parents used for me to go to Los Angeles was that they had found a comic book store, which didn't exist in Montreal at the time. It was still variety stores, no Captain Quebec or anything like that. And that it was like a couple miles, like 2-3 miles from our house, and that they would drive me every week so I could buy comics. So that was a big selling point to get me to get on board with the move to LA.
Yeah. So Karl says, my older brother, same thing for him. My older brother and I didn't get along. So comics kept my attention. Yeah. Sometimes that's how it goes, right? Unfortunately. It was hard to learn English being a second language, so comics saved my life. Yeah. It's different for you, Karl, for sure. I mean, I think people can empathize. I would hope they could empathize. I certainly can. I mean, my wife is also Chinese and not from this country. So I can only imagine, I have a good idea of how difficult it must be. And my parents were immigrants too. So to not be speaking the language and I know how difficult it has to be, and crazy stuff. So it's cool that you had comics to, as you say, save your life. That's pretty awesome, Started as a caddy in the summers at 12. Wow, really? Caddy? What an interesting job to have. I don't even think that I don't get a golf course around here near enough that I could become a caddy. That's pretty interesting, You needed to learn to flip comics to make more money to buy gifts. Well, the thing is, Karl, is I did that first year when I got into comics and I discovered them and like sort of got bitten by them when I was 12. That by the end of that first year, I already knew how to run a comic shop. I was hanging at the store after school every day. So I learned a lot. And ultimately, I did get into the whole sort of speculating on comics and all that. But again, without money to barely buy the comics I wanted to read at 12 years old, where am I going to get? There's no money to flip, to buy comics that I could flip, to buy more. I would have had to given up reading and only taken the money to buy for hopeful flipping attempts in hope that I could then use the profits to buy the comics I wanted. So, it was too young for me, at that time. And yes, now you're a comic art lord, Karl. John Cogan is your Jewish twin. There you go.
Yep.
Lee says, I was 12 and I would walk with my brother to a used bookstore in the next town over Passaic, New Jersey, and buy used books, 25 cents or less each. That's pretty sweet, Lee. 25 cents. That's good prices, Coast of Maine. On Coast of Maine, that's when you were doing the caddying. Caddyshack, summer resort area. Okay, all the local kids did. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's fun.
I used to go to Maine every summer with my parents.
What's that?
Maine.
Oh,
I used to go to Duncan, Maine every summer with my parents.
Really?
Yeah, they shipped my brother and I off to summer camp to get rid of us, and then when we got back, they take us to Maine.
Right. That's crazy, man. Wow. And I should have flipped Archie art back then. Shit, it's practically still worthless now, Marcus. How could I have been successful flipping Archie art back then? I mean, like if you can get them at $5-10 for like 1980s and onward interior pages today, I mean, what were they selling for back in the early 80s? They were probably like $1 or $2 or $3 or something. So, yeah. On the coast of Labrador at 12, I started fishing on Dad's boat. Wow. Yeah, what a different lifestyle. As you filled us in on, John, when you were here, that's you had living so remotely. Yeah, that's just another totally different lifestyle than most of the rest of us, right? So that's so different. Wow. I skipped eating in school to save for the comics and toys. I could have done that, except not really, because I only got money to eat at school when my mother unexpectedly ran out of bread for sandwiches. So I was a brown bag, paper bag kid. And my entire schooling career was basically sandwiches, cold cuts, and whatnot. And only when bread ran out in the morning, my mother realized, oh shit, I don't have enough bread to make sandwiches. So then she was forced to give us some money to go, okay, eat at school today or whatever. But otherwise, I got to tell you, Michael, man, if I had been fortunate enough that we were eating at school every day, oh yeah, I probably would have been doing the same thing. I would have just been like eating as much breakfast before I left for school, skipping lunch for sure, and saving that money for comics. Oh man, I would have felt rich doing that. That's funny.
I lived across the street from my elementary school, so I just walked home for lunch.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So in elementary, me too. Yeah. In elementary, always walk home. And I stayed long enough to eat my lunch and then watch the Flintstones from 12 to 12:30. Yes. But watching the Flintstones for me meant that as soon as the credits rolled, I had to bolt out the door and run it 5-6 blocks to school. I was in really good shape in those days, thank God. But literally, I had from the end of with the credits beginning, I had, I think, 5 minutes before the bell rang, and it was like 5 or 6 blocks. And yeah, I had to just run it all the way. But that was fun.
I was literally across the street from the kitchen window. We could see the school. And on days when it was like you couldn't see across the street, it was a snow day.
Okay.
You could just go back to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. I although I don't remember too many, maybe we did, but I don't remember having too many of those. Oh, it snowed way too much overnight or whatever. You stay home, everybody. I felt like no matter how much snow fell when I was a kid, it always felt like we had to trudge our way to school regardless. In fact, John, I remember days where it had snowed so much overnight and they didn't call off school, and I'd show up, but it was very empty. So I'd see a few other people show up. We'd go to class, and out of 20 whatever kids, maybe there were like 13, 11. You know what I mean? So half the people didn't show, but the school didn't close. Like they would always keep going no matter what. You know, it's just which really sucks. Whatever. But
like I said, the benefit of being able to, walk in your pajamas to the kitchen and look out the window. I mean, I remember blizzards where it was like white out. You just couldn't see across the street. Just wind whipping, and other days where so much snow had fallen overnight and the plows hadn't come out that you knew that school wasn't going to be open because people wouldn't be able to make their way there.
Yeah. Like I said, somehow I don't remember many of those days, those type of days happening when I was a kid, but I'm very familiar with it because of Arwen when he was going. And in fact, even not only elementary school, but even now, as she's in high school, it seems like every winter there's like at least 4 or 5 of those. Oh, it snowed so much. We get an email early in the morning, or even sometimes late at night if it's already starting to snow late at night, and we get an email right away. Yeah, okay, so keep your kids at home there, and there's no school tomorrow. It's gonna be closed. Too much snow, whatever. I'm like, oh, she keeps getting these days off for that. I honestly don't remember getting too much of that day off because of the snow thing. But maybe I did, and I don't know. I just don't remember it. But whatever. Hey, Nicky B, what's up, sir? Jumping in real quick to ask everyone to hit that up. Yes, please. It's right under here somewhere where I'm pointing. The thumbs up icon. Please hit that if you don't mind. If you're watching right now and you haven't done so already, I would appreciate it if you just hit that. Thank you. I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that. And there's 30 watching currently live, and only 17. So 13 of you watching. If you don't mind, if you just hit that little like button there with a thumbs up, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much for that, Nick. I appreciate that. Ruben had to walk uphill both ways to 2 feet of snow. Yeah. We've all heard those stories. What's up, TJ, by the way? In Maine, grade 1 and 2, no snow days. In Virginia, from 3 to 12, if it was forecast, they would close. Okay, close for 1 week once in my 12th grade. Wow. A whole week. Holy crap. That's a snowfall, I'll tell you. That's nutty, man. Okay, so John, let's fast forward and just tell us a little bit of how you first discovered original art. Like, where'd you first see it, and then ultimately, how'd you start collecting it?
Well, I started going to San Diego Comic-Con in the early 80s after moving to Los Angeles.
See, let me, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt real quick just to say, because I've told these guys this on previous episodes, that as a kid, I because of TV shows and certain movies, it was a fantasy. It was like a dream for me to like live in California. The idea of living in Los Angeles, Hollywood, somewhere in California, beautiful weather all year long. I dreamed of that. I used to rue the day that I was like my parents, I would tell them, why did you immigrate to Montreal, Canada? Why wouldn't you go like some other people south to the United States? Like whatever, So you ended up living the life I wanted to live. So that's pretty awesome, man. Yeah. No, it is what it is,
I actually didn't even know Comic-Con existed. I discovered it. My father discovered it by accident.
Wow.
Turns out my my maternal grandfather had moved to San Diego shortly after we moved to Los Angeles. And his birthday was like August 2nd. So we'd come down the first weekend of August every year for his birthday and to celebrate with him. And my dad, remember, like reading the papers, like, hey, son, there's a comic convention here in San Diego. Why don't I take you down and drop you off for the day? Because I was already like probably 13, 14 or so at the time.
Wow.
So he dropped me off at the old convention center in San Diego, and I just roamed around and, just had a blast.
That's awesome. Like, wow. That's, gosh, man.
And then, like the next year, found out it's an annual event, and I'm like, I want to go back here. And, as luck would have it, it worked out for many years that we were there the same weekend as the con. And my dad would take me and drop me off. And then when I was in high school, I started going by myself with friends and stuff like that.
That's awesome. And I just want to point out the message that I've got on screen, because Brian just pointed out something that I think explains why I don't have really memories of getting those snow days. He says, I went to Catholic school. They never closed. Rain, snow, plague of locusts, whatever. So maybe that's it, because my school was a Catholic school as well. So maybe it has something to do with that. I don't know.
My school in Montreal was a Protestant school.
Protestant?
It was part of the Protestant school district.
Yeah.
It was French immersion program that I was in.
Right. But I don't know. I mean, Catholics was Catholics, and then the Protestants went to Protestant school. It's not the same thing. So I don't know. It's different school board. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of.
You're what, 7 years younger? You're used to
me?
Yeah.
Than you?
How old are you?
I'm turning 54 this year.
Oh, okay, so 3 years. All right.
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it is, Brian. I don't know. Maybe that's what it has to do with. That might not be just a coincidence. And yes, TJ, I may just have been the source of California dreaming, the mamas and the papas. Oh, man. John's dad won Dad of the Year for sure. There, see, it's not just me. CJ agrees. You see, look at that. Hey, son.
It's John, far from that. Let's put it that way. It was his way of getting rid of me so I wouldn't annoy him for the day.
And you know what? That's acceptable. Like, I agree. Like, okay, it could have been that, but like, that's still a pretty awesome way to get rid of your kid, right? Like, oh my God, I wish my dad would have gotten rid of me by dropping me off at comic shops, Yeah.
1984 San Diego Comic-Con. I am waiting for Steve Rude to finish my first sketch that I ever got from him of Nexus. And all of a sudden over the PA, John Cogan, your father is waiting outside.
Oh my God.
You ever hear those PAs when you're at like San Diego?
I hear them when yeah. I mean, anytime you're at a big con, you hear some of these PAs. Although the thing is that the cons, usually I can't make out what the hell they're even saying over the PA. I mean, I was there this Friday here in Montreal, and I was there before, I got in with my friend's dealer badge. So the crowd who pays to get in hasn't gotten in yet. And so it's pretty empty. And the guy came on the speaker thing and the PA, and it was loud and echoey, and I couldn't make out I couldn't even understand if he was talking in French or English. It was that bad. I was like, what's he saying? Is anybody listening? Like, I don't get it. Yeah, but whatever. Like I said, I still think it's just awesome that hey, get rid of your kid however you have to, but if you're gonna drop them off at a Comic Con or a comic shop, I'm all for that. Do that all the time, parents. Yeah. Caesar, snow days. It snowed so much that you got to stay home because parents or buses won't be able to get through the snow quick enough to get everybody to school, and
teachers won't be able to get in because the roads haven't been cleared.
Right, whatever. So it's like, okay, stay home because it's too much snow. There you go. Oh, you know what it is. Okay, you little bastard. Yeah, all you know is what's a Sunday. And I don't mean today Sunday. You know Sunday because you're in Cali. Lifelong Cali boy. Bastard. I think Ruben was more David Lee Roth, California Girls. I was. You know I was. And you were too, Marcus. You know when that video came out, you were like hot for it and waiting every day, hoping that they'd replay it again, you know, later in the day. Oh my God, that was awesome. Yeah. I mean, I was already a fan of the original version, but boy, when David Lee Roth did that, oh my God, with that video, for sure. Come on, man. Rudely interrupted. Hey, Cap, what's up? Just registered my like. Unfortunately, I can't stay today. No worries. Apologies. Catch a show rewind. Thank you, Cap. I appreciate it. Have a good one. And I could get my dad to begrudgingly drive me to a local con. He always goofed on me, though, calling them funny books. Well, that's nothing. Funny books is what they were called back in the 30s, 40s, 50s. So that's nothing, friend. That's nothing. Yeah, you still got it pretty good. Rube the Gigolo. How about that? What's up, Dan? Good to see you. And hello to Cab. No snow in the cities. Well, you're in Australia, David. Naturally. I believe it will be a great show as John's collection is wide as it is deep. Obviously loves the hobby. He obviously does. Absolutely. Yes. Okay, sorry. So let me stop interrupting you and reminiscing about our childhoods. John, how you discovered artwork.
Yes, how I discovered artwork. So in the 80s, early 90s, I started going to shows and getting sketches from artists. I mean, they were cheap. It was a good way. And while I saw pages at San Diego, I remember one time looking at a Hamilton Aquaman miniseries page, that was penciled and inked for like $150 versus like getting a sketch for $25. Quiet.
But
and I just sort of felt like,
that seemed like a lot, right? Is what you're saying?
A lot of money compared, and and I'm getting a black and white like page from a comic that everyone's seen, whereas I'm getting a $25 sketch that no one else is going to see or have because there's no internet to share with back then, you know?
Right.
And I mean, some early shows I got, I started after a couple of loose sketches, I started, in 85 getting a sketchbook going, and I've got it like a Chaykin Shadow and a Romita Junior Spider-Man in there and some other stuff. They did a local show with Joe Shuster, who I didn't even think. It's like, he's too old school. I'm not interested in that. But he was doing sketches for $10. All the same though, side view of Superman, but it was Joe Shuster for $10.
And thanks, honey. And so then, did you actually get one?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I got one from like Chaykin and from Romita Jr. at that show. I also bought Giant Size X-Men #1 for $50 at that show. So the things were cheap, and I it's not like I had unlimited funds. I mean, fuck. One of the first pages of art I ever bought was at a local comic store, the Golden Apple. They had a second store in Northridge, close to where I lived, and they had George Perez over for a signing, and George had piles of art that he brought with him for sale. And I was dying. He had the cover
did you just say you were dying?
Well, I was dying because he had the cover to Who is Donna Troy, which was hand painted by him. Okay.
Wow.
It's Dick Grayson, it's Robin standing in a trench coat over with Robin
we all know what the hell that is. Who is Donna Troy? Everybody knows. Don't worry.
It was gorgeous, and it was a whopping $200.
Oh, I mean, okay. It seems now, but okay. First of all, what year would that have been?
I probably would have been 84, 85.
Yeah. See, I put myself. That's what I
maybe
say.
83.
Right. So again, 83. I'm only 13, so I can't be like, oh man, if only, because at 13 I still had no money, barely could buy the comics I wanted off the stands at 60 cents a piece or whatever they were. So So if you would have told me, oh my God, George is covered, who's Donna Troy? Only $200, I would have been like, $200? That might as well be $1 million,
It was gorgeous though. Yeah, I wanted it so bad. And it must have been when I was 16 because it's right in Northridge. And so I remember my dad drove me to it because I couldn't drive myself. So
yeah, for sure.
And the consolation prize was I bought myself a page from issue 2 of the new Teen Titans.
Oh, that's a pretty awesome
that had no Deathstroke on it, but it had every Titan member on it. And I wound up selling it years later after I became a more serious collector, and I sold it for like $600. I bought it for $40, but I sold it for $600 and picked up another page somewhere else along the line.
Which, of course, seemed like a fortune to you. You would have been like, "Oh my God, it only cost me $40. I'm getting $600. That's awesome, right?" Like, yeah, that's
exactly
normal. That's how we all thought. Of course, it makes sense, But yeah, that he also did the same thing, the same story like you. With his dad used to volunteer to take him to the local LA science fiction and comic book show.
Yeah, I used to go there too.
Oh yeah,
the monthly Shrine Show.
Wow.
Yeah. The local site, it's called the Shrine Show. This guy out of Burbank who had a store called Bruce Schwartz used to put them on. And for LA, he put on a great show every month, once a month. I mean, he got Arnold Schwarzenegger in there for like T2 to promote it. He was like friends with this guy who worked at Warner Brothers directly or something, and they would get top talent in there. And I mean, they used to have like Adam West, Burt Ward. I mean, I met the whole cast of Batman, I think, because they slowly but surely over the years that I went to them had like almost everyone in at that local show. And back then no one charged. Like you maybe paid $5-$10 for a color photograph they were selling, but otherwise they didn't charge for an autograph.
Yeah, for sure. And that's exactly right, Marcus. That's right. $600 was like exactly. At least in Canada, it was $299.99 here all the time. Two Atari 2600s. Yeah, $600. There you go. That's crazy, man. That's so funny. And look at John says. John says, "Good luck scoring a dick in a trench coat now for $200."
Was that John C?
Yeah, that's John C.
Of course, it had to be.
It had to be. Love it, John. That's awesome. I paid $150 for my first car. $200 would have been a nicer car.
Nicer car.
Shit, man. The good old days, right, Jeff? Holy crap. Almost 30 years later, we still don't know who Donna Troy is. Now, it's a good thing. I know you well enough to know that you are just joking, Brian, but good one. I like it. I would go to the newsstand after school, buy comics, and sit at a bar drinking a draft root beer in a frosted mug. That sounds like a good, fun childhood, TJ. What about the ice cream? Did you ever put the what do you call it? The vanilla ice cream root beer float or whatever they called it? Drop it onto the root beer. Ever do that? I've never done that in my life. That's why I'm asking. I want to know if it actually tastes good or if it's disgusting, as it seems like it would be. But let me know. So anyways, yeah, sorry. Continue, John.
So then in 1993, I landed a dream job where I was interacting with comic artists and creators because I went to work for Image Comics as the corporate controller.
Nice. And, you hear that, everybody? Image Comics. And so, and this is while they're just sort of getting off the ground, correct?
Yeah, 93. Started in like March of 93. And I, became friendly with Rob Liefeld and everyone and all the partners and earned their trust. And basically I learned the fine points of comic art collecting from Rob Liefeld, Eric Stevenson, and Tim Townsend. they would bring in their collections. They would share it with me, show it off. And I would, like, I brought in my sketchbook and showed Rob some of the stuff that I got. He goes, yeah, that's really nice, but look at how finished this is. And, it's polished. It's not just a quick sketch. It's, published. And I started to like warm up to it. And then I went to San Diego Comic-Con 1993 with the sole purpose of buying comic art that year.
Wow.
And I came home with, I think, 2 or 3 covers. I came back.
That first show?
Yeah.
That first show, you came back with 2 or 3 covers? Wow.
So I came back with that 93 show. I came back and I bought an Alan Davis British published Batman Year 2 cover that was a cool image of Batman like pulling his cowl off with one hand, and the other hand he's got a gun under Joe Chill's neck. And
cool.
It was a cool image. He's pulling off his cowl, revealing his identity and saying, you killed my parents.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I had that for many years. I also bought
I was just gonna say, I feel like the way you described it, I feel like I have a vague picture, a recollection of that. I may have seen it. So you had it in your gallery for many years then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had that for very many years and wound up eventually selling it after acquiring another Alan Davis piece that's in my collection.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's
and
awesome.
And the cover was $150, by the way. And the other thing that I picked up was I also picked up a published Matt Wagner Robin cover that was from like 1992 that had just come out.
I don't remember Wagner doing Robin covers.
So this is why you don't, because I didn't remember it either. It was one of those gimmick covers where you were supposed to like pull it and it looked like it was like an animatronic, or you slid it through like this field and it would look like it would be moving, but it was like lenticular, but it wasn't. And it was like this big on the cover, but Matt did it full 11x17.
Oh.
And you won't believe DC, when they did a Matt Wagner like Batman book a couple of years ago, they were so dumb that they couldn't find the cover. And so they grabbed the cover that they thought was Matt's, but it turned out to be Mike Zeck's. And it's in the back of the book. They show, the Robin #2 cover, but it's Mike Zeck's newsstand edition, not Matt's, because it was a gimmick cover. No one had like the art, I guess. They just had it reproduced, shrunk down, and Matt himself forgot, because Matt had touched up the cover for me once years later. I had it on the wall, and then some of the red started to fade, so I took it off the wall, and Matt was nice enough to touch it up for me.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Wow.
And I forget. I came back with another piece. It was either an interior page or another cover that was also like another 150, 200. I was making decent money working at Image those years,
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Wow, that's a cool story. And by the way, I just so you guys all know, I already know this part of John's background. So of course, being around Image in the early Image years, very exciting. John says perhaps he may come back and do a hangout episode with us, just to talk about those days. Is that right? Is that right, John?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Fun and crazy times.
Yeah.
We single-handedly changed the return policy, Image Comics. So
Yeah. I'm sure you got plenty of stories, so that'd be awesome. Yeah, I would love to.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
Awesome. Real quick, I just wanted to address Marcus and Sonny, just because they told me that I need to visit an A&W, and I'll have you know, Marcus, literally, like, I don't know if it was 3 or 4 nights ago, I was. Not only did I visit an A&W, I went like at midnight. I took Arwen. And we were there like at midnight or just before midnight, and I got to tell you, I don't think I saw anything like a root beer float. For desserts, all I noticed was the apple pie, like the old school McDonald's apple pies that were like deep fried. So I had to have one of those. But yeah, no root beer floats that I could see. Maybe it's an American thing or something. I don't know. Sonny says root beer float is awesome. I don't know, man. I've never tried one. To me, it's cool, but I feel like it would make me want to hurl. That's you know.
Did you ever have a banana split sundae at A&W?
I've had a banana split, but not a banana split sundae. Yeah, why?
Okay.
Is that something well known at A&W as well? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I told you I used to go to the A&W near Rose Bowl when I was a kid in Montreal.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I used to go there and I'd have like a root beer float with the burger, or sometimes I'd have a banana, split sundae. Like they split the banana and they put on ice cream and caramel and chocolate sauce and all that stuff.
Yeah. And TJ, I remember. I mean, I was going to them. I was going to them every year for several years back in the 2000s. So I remember those shows. Yeah, I didn't think they were good back then. I used to always be like, I cannot believe that this is the best Comic-Con that New York City can offer the world. Like, it was stunning to me that there was San Diego. You had that massive, con with 100,000 plus people. And that New York City, up until 2006, was just getting those church shows. It was like, wow, I don't know what was happening there in New York there for a long time. But it was really, really bad. Stewart's was a 50s style drive-in that had the best root beer in those thick, frosty mugs. The hamburgers really sucked. What are you going to do? Aloha, what is up, Karl? Good to see you. I hope you wore a plaid shirt when you drove it. Okay, I don't know. You're talking to Jeff. Attended many of those basement shows, says John Brown. Yes, Ruben the Soda Jerk. Interesting that you say that, Marcus, because Soda Jerk is going to come up a little bit later in the show, and you'll see why. So remember that I said that. Everybody, remember? He's calling me the Soda Jerk. The Soda Jerk.
Nice transition, buddy. Nice transition.
Yeah. It'll come up later. Only remembers Grummet Robin covers. You know what? I'm not a big Robin fan. So I'm more likely to remember the Superboy covers. But for those who didn't see it on Instagram, I picked this up from Tom
it's nice.
On Friday. And this is the art for one of the prints that he sells at conventions.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't look like a cover, but it looks really nice.
No. Yeah, it's not a cover, but yeah, he just drew it last summer to so he could create a whole bunch of new prints for the convention season or whatever, So
put a scan up. I want to see it better, man. That's nice.
I know, eventually, but yeah, that was fun. Just to come away with something. I really just went there so I could see Tom and his wife, and have him sign like 75 of my pages that still needed his signatures, And I figure I wouldn't want to travel to a show to see him and carrying 75 pages of art or whatever. But I figured, okay, he's coming to my city. Okay, I'll bring all my shit and as many pages as need signatures, I'll get them done, So that's it. So that was that. I did, okay, Huggy Bear. Did John buy art from any of the Image artists?
No, I did wind up with some though. So a couple pages from some of the guys. Didn't pay for them. They were gifted to me. And I've got sketches from some of the partners and whatnot. It's it was a fun time, and I had earned their trust pretty quick. Yeah, my dog is not whistling, he's barking. He's going to go downstairs as soon as you put a piece of art on. So
that's cool. Let the doggy bark. Root beer float is A&W's claim to fame. Yeah. I remember as a kid seeing the commercials. That's where that's the only way I'm familiar with it. That's how we first got familiarized with it, seeing commercials in the 70s as a little kid. But as a little kid, I don't believe we had A&W here. So at least I don't remember. John, do you remember?
I do. I remember having root beer floats. Yeah.
But at A&W, or was it maybe somewhere else, like an ice cream shop?
Dude, it was the A&W down by the Rose Bowl. I'm telling you.
The Rose Bowl, that was there from the 70s as a child, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like right next door. We'd go like right after bowling.
Okay. So I guess maybe it was just that they didn't have a large presence across Montreal. Because like I said, as a child, I remember McDonald's, Harvey's, and I think that was
I don't remember Hardee's at all. I remember, I think.
Not Hardee's, Harvey's.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, a Harvey burger. Shit. I forgot about those.
Yeah, remember the char broiled or whatever? Yeah. That was only, I don't know if that was a Quebec and Ontario thing or whatever, but yeah. A local.
Those were good. Are they still around?
They're still around, yeah, but
okay.
Some of the ones that were near me have closed over the years, so I don't know how large the presence is, but they're still around, yeah. Food Critic, yeah. Root beer float rules. Oh my God, we got a lot of root beer float. I guess I should try it. I don't understand. What do you do? So you got the root beer, then they dump the scoop of ice cream into it. So what do you do? You start trying to eat the ice cream,
and then pour the root beer. Otherwise, you're gonna splash yourself.
Oh, you put the ice cream in, pour the root beer so it floats to the top. But then what do? Do you start drinking and sipping, or do you start taking a spoon and eating the ice cream?
Either or. Some people like to take the spoon and stir up so the ice cream melts in the drink and drink it both together. That's how my daughter likes to do it. My daughter loves root beer floats.
Okay, yeah. So he's saying
just make them her though. I mean, I just buy ice cream and buy root beer and mix it in a glass at home.
Well, that's what Sonny's saying, and so I'm like, because I was gonna say, like, yeah, it seems to me that you could just do that at home if you really want to try it. It would be the same thing, right? Except it's not maybe A&W brand root beer or whatever root beer you buy, right? But it would essentially be the same. So I guess I have to try it just for the hell of it, one time.
All right. Yeah. Put a piece of art on. I'll be right back. I'm going to take him outside. I think he needs to go.
No worries. I'll talk to these fellas. Yeah. So orange soda floats are good too. Interesting. Okay. I'm not sure I've heard of that before, but okay. Orange soda. Kavi's saying orange soda at Stewart's for me. Interesting. I know that there's Stewart brand, like orange. What do you call those creamsicles? Do you guys know what it's called? Do you know what creamsicles are? Over here, they're called creamsicles. So it's like a vanilla ice cream, but the outer portion it's vanilla ice cream wrapped in like orange. Frozen, like a popsicle or whatever. Yeah. And then I know Stewart's root beer brand. I don't know if they also make the orange or if that's a different company or what, Thanks, Kavi. Appreciate it. Yeah. Anybody coming in late, he's talking about this one. Yeah. RC Cola. Wow. Do they still make RC Cola? Do they still exist? Wow. Red Mill is in Seattle. Has Killer Shakes. Okay. Johnny Rockets. Wow. We used to have a Johnny Rockets here. I think they've closed down. I'm pretty sure they've closed down by now. Floats don't seem to be a big thing up here. Must be our 8 months of winter. True, but you would still think, John, that in the summer it still gets pretty hot. You would think the ice cream shops might have, floats, but it's not. And maybe they do, but the ones that I go to, it's not like I remember seeing them. So maybe it's just never been a big thing here. Oh my God! What are you saying? Oh my God! For no rules, Ruben. Oh, no rules, just chug. Oh, okay. Yeah, but it seems like it'd be hard to chug with ice cream. Yeah, sorry, John. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say I remember a place in Montreal. I think it was called McDougall's. It was an ice cream shop near like Sherbrooke and the train tracks.
Oh,
and near where the Montreal courthouse or building is.
Okay.
And they used to close for the winter.
Oh.
The ice cream shop would close for the winter because they know not enough customers in the wintertime.
Yeah. I will say that happens with some of the private mom and pop type ice cream shops, but some of them stay open, believe it or not, in the winter.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because you pass by and you see it's empty, right? And like as I would expect, it's like, why would you bother opening? It's like for the few customers that are going to come in during the day, you're going to get 3 customers all day long. I don't know. I don't know why they bother. In fact, there's the Dairy Queen not too far from where I live. I believe they stay open during the winter. It's kind of like, I don't know. I'm not in the
They
mood.
serve hot food there, don't they?
Huh?
The A&W serves hot food, burgers.
Yeah. The A&W serves like it's like a regular hamburger joint or whatever, Yeah. Ruben should interview John's dog next week. He's seen stuff. If he could talk, right? If he could talk.
He's been with me since he was 2 months old. He's great.
There you go. CJ, I have had milkshakes. Relax. All right. I had milkshakes, but I will tell you the majority of my life's milkshakes that I've had came from McDonald's. And that's because I started having milkshakes when I worked at McDonald's. I did my 1-year tour of duty there as a 15 or 16-year-old. And and so that's what I had is all the time. I would always take a milkshake instead of a drink for my free meal after I worked my shift, but I haven't had a milkshake in years. So orange cream soda, they still sell them along with the grape drink. Yeah, that's true.
Love grape drink.
It's so weird not knowing what a float is. I have ice cream cycle stuff. Okay. When I said that about needing float drinking. Oh, float drinking. Well, like I said, CJ, it's like I've never had one, and like I said, it always seems to me it feels like it would be hard to drink when you got this giant lump of ice cream floating in it. It just feels like I don't know what to do. Do I eat that to get it out of the way, or do I try to sip it while the thing's floating there? That's why I never understood it. And yeah, man, come on, give me a break. It's -40. I'll have an Oreo Blizzard, please. Exactly. That's exactly it. Like, who the hell wants to do that in the middle of winter? That's insane, Part-time in the local Dairy Queen, great milkshakes and freebies for my friends. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, when you're young, it's awesome. You get the freebies, especially. Usually skeleton crews got to pay the rent and utilities. Yeah, you think, though, keeping the machines on all day long, right? Refrigeration equipment, for the 5 customers or 3 customers that are going to come in, just and the 1 employee you might have to pay, it's still even minimum wage. It just doesn't seem like it pays to open in winter. But whatever. Ice cream is a year-round food, 3 meals a day. What? Not in the frozen north. I'm out on that. It's the vanilla ice cream and the root beer that work in synergy. They work in synergy. Do they, TJ? Okay. Like I said, I'll try it at some point, then I'll report back to you guys. The bloated, yes. I'll get bloated if I start eating that kind of crap. John is schooling Ruben on his hometown. It's a pretty big city. Like, we've lived in different parts of the city. So it's like, you don't go and hang out in different parts of the city.
Especially when you're young,
Yeah. And, sorry, let me just reread that properly. Were you buying comics while working at McDonald's? Yeah, and in fact, Karl, that was probably the first time I really started to ramp up my comic book buying because I finally had, my own money that I was earning. Mind you, it was $4.35 an hour back then, or $4.25, yeah, something like that. But with 60 or no, by then I guess it was probably 75 cents to $1 comics or whatever. Still, yeah, especially in the summertime, you did more hours. We worked full time in the summer. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. Comics, my comic buying ramped up for sure then. Milkshake brings the boys to the comic yard. Ruben leaves floaters only in Canada. Never at the U.S. cons. That's right. I can't drop them at the U.S. cons. I don't know what it is. Something about talking to work. Still laughing and shaking my head. Good. All right, we're gonna get into this, fellas. Let us do this. The last couple of comments had some setbacks, but still going. Oh, you've had some setbacks, Kavi. Okay, you're gonna have to tell me about that. Sorry to hear that. Yes, we're getting on with it. What do you do all day? Okay. All right. So yes, let us get into the show and tell everybody. And let me cue up the images. Let me see here. Okay, let me see. We got. Okay, yeah.
looking forward to see what you picked out. I obviously know one of them now.
Yes. So, as I always do, everyone, let me make it official and let you know that I did once again became the picker, and John has not been shown what I picked. So yeah, it's everything will be a surprise, like in most, the way we usually do it. It'll be a surprise to him. Not only the order, but the actual pieces. He doesn't know anything at all about what I picked. So yeah, it's more fun that way. Most of the collectors that have been guests with me on the show have told me after the fact that they really liked it that way. They think it's more fun not knowing what's coming. So yeah, so that's what we're doing here. And hold on, let me get this straight here. Okay, all right. So for the first one in tonight's show and tell, I thought that with all this Canadian power we have going on in the studio, I thought, okay, let's at least start with even more Canadian power. So it's John, myself, John's dog, although John's dog was never in Canada, so I guess John's dog is American. Okay, so it's just John, myself, and this fella, but two pieces on one slide to increase the Canadian power. Check it out. Yeah. Black
Good old
Canary
Darwyn.
and Catwoman by Darwyn Cooke, the Canadian.
Yeah.
The late lamented.
I miss Darwyn. So I don't think I even told this to you, but through working with at Image and through friends, I met a lot of guys in animation. And in 1996, I was hanging out with the Warner Brothers animated crew at San Diego that year. And that was the year that Darwyn had come to, I think it was 96, that he came to San Diego for the first time and was going to come work for them, possibly. He just wanted to come out, see everyone, meet everyone. And then he wound up moving to LA, and he wound up working for my buddy Butch. And I used to meet them Friday nights for dinner for a while,
Cool.
like every week.
Wow, that's fun. Wow, yeah. Weekly, no less.
For a while, yeah, they would be outside smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee by the time I got there, and I'd order my dinner, and they just be chatting back and forth, and I'd listen and join in and eat, my dinner.
Yeah, very, very, very cool.
Fun company.
Yeah, I can imagine. Good choice. Taking both. How do you pick just one? Yeah, I mean that's it. That was my whole point. I kind of thought like, yeah, usually I'll put one, and on the right hand side I'll put like a blow up of a part of the drawing. But I thought, why not? There's two good ones, and I find because they're both because of the fact that they were both drawn in the same pose but in the opposite direction, I thought they went really well together like that side by side, So
they were also drawn at the same time, around the same time, because I had done a trade deal with Darwyn. We were at a Wizard World LA. He was still living here. And I ran into him, and I had a portfolio book with me. And I had a bunch of Toth art in there, which I forgot, that he's a big fan. I said, "Oh, you'll get a kick out of this." And so we wound up sitting down. He's flipping through it. And I told him I brought some of it because some of it I'd be willing to sell. And he's flipping through, and he comes to my Toth, and he sees this beautiful colored Toth piece that is a presentation piece for a animated show that never got picked up by Hanna-Barbera. And they're two similar pieces, and Darwyn loved them, and I was willing to part with one, and in exchange Darwyn gave me some cash and did both of these for me by the next San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, wow. So they're fantastic. Absolutely fantastic pieces. What's up, Mikhail? Good to see you. Killer pair. Yeah, they both got killer pairs, but they are they are indeed killer pair. It's a killer pair of drawings for sure. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Out of curiosity, John, if you had to, and of course you don't have to answer it, but if you had to, which one would you keep as your only one of the pair?
So this is a tough one because I'm a big Black Canary fan, but love the Catwoman one.
Yeah,
so much.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Darwyn said he did it for me specifically in mind when he came to that San Diego that year. He, he had assistants working his table, and he's like, hand me the portfolio. And he pulled it out, and she goes, what is this one? And she goes, tell it, Cogan's Catwoman.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
because I guess they were keeping track of everything they sold. And so.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, it is indeed nice, Maki Poo Poo, for sure. And Selena must have great air conditioning. Yes. Darwyn's Catwoman design. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's beautiful. I guess for me, because I'm a big fan of blacks, heavy blacks, shadowing and stuff. I like the fact that he put the blacks at the top of the Catwoman, right? And it just sort of acts as a frame and brings your eye in, it forces your eye in. Whereas on the Black Canary, it's open, right? On all four edges. You don't have blacks out there. So just that little extra bit of blacks is what would make me choose the Catwoman. But I have to say, truly, the reason I put both of them instead of just choosing one is because ultimately I was struggling. I was like, I can't leave one. It's like I do like the Catwoman a little better, but I'm like, but I just don't want to leave out the Black Canary,
I get it. They make a nice matching pair.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that was a tough one, but I said, what am I doing? I can just show both. Let's just show them both, and that's it, So I'm happy. So yeah, for sure. So awesome. Okay, so the next piece, and take note, everybody, about how many sort of big name artists we're going to see tonight. The next piece is by another big name artist who's also somebody I'm sure you'll have some story or other, John. You'll let us know about. It's a California guy. So here we go. Check it out.
Oh, yeah.
Cosmic Odyssey, number 2, page 17, Splash by Mike Mignola and Carlos Garzon from 1988. That's a killer splash. Yeah.
So I first became aware of Mignola's artwork when he started doing back covers for a fanzine called Comic Reader.
Yes.
And there's this one in particular that was like total black, like the whole back was black, and it was basically Aquaman had been taken captive by some villain, and he's like latched to a wall or something, but it's all like him, just his head and body and coming out of the blacks, and his arms and legs are sort of hidden in the black. And it was just like, wow, that's really cool. I got to remember that name. And sure enough, he started appearing in comics not long after, and I was a fan of his from the beginning.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I've had this in my collection for quite a while. I picked this up for a whopping $300.
Wow, that's nice. Wow. Yeah.
And it's oversized because it was a Baxter book, so it's like a larger page.
Yeah. Yeah. So this must have been one of your would have been one of your 1990s era pickups?
Probably so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
I remember, I think I was at San Diego and I saw it in some guy's portfolio for, like 300. And I like it better than the cover because the cover is like Superman's face is kind of hidden. It's more the backside. And this was, the Thangarian ships, and Superman and Orion, facing the reader. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, John, Mr. John C., yesterday was International Fried Chicken Day. Today, I just want you to know I had some fried chicken from KFC. So I don't know, coincidence, I guess, though. And Caesars, I think this is a joke connected to Anthony always claiming that it's his last Cosmic Odyssey page that he has available for sale, but he always seems to have dozens and dozens available. I think that's what he's talking about. Pretty sweet, counting all the birds. You're busy counting all the birds? Holy crap. You got some OCD issues, dude.
Those aren't birds. Those are hawk people.
Yes. Yeah, but it's amazing piece, and so awesome that over the years, as you've told me, you've sold certain pieces, as we've all sold pieces over the years, but it's pretty cool. I think that you still do own quite a bit of art that you did buy from back in those days.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I used to be pretty much a black hole collector pretty much, but over the years I started having to sell, my life has changed drastically over the last 10, 12 years and things like that. So I've had to let go of some of my art.
As I always say, we all have reasons, and whatever, whatever it is, everybody sells at some point. It is what it is, You got to do what you got to do in life sometimes, and that's it's too bad, but whatever. You move on and you do the best, and even though you've had to sell a lot of stuff, John, you still have an amazing collection, and that's what's
Thank you.
And a testament to you, to be honest, because for you to have gotten rid of the stuff that you gotten rid of and still have the collection you do, like, it's really impressive. Like, and all.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just for sure. Some of the pieces I miss here and there, and some of them, like one of them I sold was a painted Mignola piece that I had for years. I probably had it like maybe 10 years, but I never got around to framing it and putting it on the wall so I could admire it, like when I walk by it every day. And wish I had it, put it on the wall at least so I could. It was just great.
Yeah, and that's another thing, by the way, that I find cool, that you do frame a lot. When you really like something, you really love a piece of art, and you think, like, if I've got space or I can make space, you right away think about framing and hanging to enjoy.
When I first started collecting and getting into art, I was pretty much like framing everything, panel pages and things like that, sketches. I used to have a really cool Rob Liefeld Nightwing sketch that I had framed. I actually got this sketch from Rob in like 1987, like right after he finished the
Hawk and Dove? Yeah. Okay.
Just finished Hawk and Dove that year at San Diego. He was sitting next and sharing a table with George Perez, his idol, and they were, and I had seen Rob previous years before he went pro, and I had bought some like postcard things that he had made, for like 50 cents, $2, because I'm like, my God, this kid's my age and he's so talented and so much better than I could ever imagine, being. And so I supported him, and then I got it framed, and one day I came in, like I think on a Sunday at the office, an image in my office, and hung it on the wall, and didn't say anything to Rob. And the next day he like came into my office and he kind of looked over his shoulder and did a double take,
Yeah, the good old days, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. Sure, let's move on to the next piece, everybody. And let's see. So we got Darwyn, Cooke, Mike Mignola. So a very auspicious debut to the show, everyone. Let's see who else we got in the number 3 spot here. Because I'm not even. Oh yes, this one. Not as big of a name, but still very. Okay, I want to say something about this, and then you can tell me whatever you want. Okay, so check this out, everybody. First of all, so Batman Chronicles number 9, page 4 by Duncan and Fegredo from '97. I gotta say, so he's not a guy that I ever really followed. When I was going through your gallery, John, and I was going through my picks to select, what really caught me about the page, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Duncan is he one of those guys who Mignola ended up getting to do like some of the Hellboy stuff, right? That's it, right? That's him. Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I never got into Hellboy myself. That's why that's part of the reason I'm not that familiar with Duncan's work.
I totally understand. I knew him from his covers that he did for the Vertigo book. I forget the name of it right now, but he did painted covers for a Vertigo book that were really nice. And he did this short story that Devin Grayson wrote that was like the first meeting of Robin and Batgirl. That was, I thought, very charming, very funny. And I met him in person at San Diego one year, and I bought this page directly off of him.
Oh, okay, cool.
I wish I had bought more. Let's put it that way. I wish I had bought the whole story.
You know, okay, so that's part of what I wanted to say. So there's two things I wanted to mention. So number one, I looked at the first panel. That's what caught my eye first. The first panel. And I just love the animated appearance of the characters. I mean, they're so expressive, right? And I'm just like, it really caught my eye. And I'm like, and then I'm you know, I start making my way down the page from panel to panel. I'm like, the whole thing is just incredibly expressive, leading to that bottom panel, which is the most expressive. And I'm just like, wow, like I should probably take a better look at this guy's work because it's really, really good and nice. And then I was so taken by this page that I tracked down the story just so I could read it. And it was an awesome, super fun story that it made me think, oh, I wish John had like all the, because it's a short story, you remember, right?
Yes.
And I wish he had the whole book. Because how cool would that be? And then I started thinking, I wish I had the whole book because it was just such a fun, great story. Oh my God. Yeah, it's so special.
I completely agree. When I've gone back, I'm like, what was I thinking? I like should have got the whole story. And I don't remember at the time. He might have been holding some of the pages for Devin, because I know there was one story that Rodolfo DiMaggio had drawn that Devin wrote with Robin and Wonder Girl, or Nightwing, and it was Dick Grayson and Donna Troy. And I asked him about it, and he said that Devin was buying the whole story. So, you know, she might have been buying some of these pages. And years later, I did wind up buying another page from the story, but whoever had it before me must have framed it, put it on the wall, and it was so faded that I wound up sending the page back and getting my money back.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It was so, they obviously had darkened the scan, and when I got the page, I'm like, it just bothered me way too much.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, and let that be a lesson to you sellers. When you have art that is faded from the original ink darkness, don't purposely darken it so that it looks better. Like in a situation like mine, when, for example, somebody, like I want to do a show and tell, and I want to show a pencil piece. Well, pencil pieces don't show up on screen, on YouTube, whatever, like online very well. So I will, if I really want to show it, I will darken it so people can get a good view of what the pencils look like. In that case, it doesn't matter. And I still mention that I darkened it, you know, but it doesn't matter if you're doing that because nobody's looking to potentially buy it, right? We're just showing it. It's about showing it to appreciate it. But when you're selling, don't you dare ever darken some kind of inked piece that's been fading to make it look better so you can make the buyer think that, oh, that's what it looks like, so that then they get it and they're like, what the hell is this, right? Like, no. That's such a taboo thing. Like, don't do that. Don't do that, people. Like, scan it the way it is, and that show it as close as possible to how it looks in person, and that's that way you avoid problems. You know, with the buyer, whatever. Yeah.
I wish I got in some of like the early pages, Batman and Catwoman. That was a funny story.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and who was it? That was it, Marcus or so Caesar? Interesting. Are you referring to? I remember him mostly from the '91 Kid Eternity mini. Are you talking about Duncan Fegredo?
Yeah, he did.
He's been around that long.
He's painted the whole thing. The Kid Eternity painted Vertigo comic, and he painted all those pages. I just saw some for sale actually that were like $500 a page. Yeah.
Okay. And Tommy, I just wanted to mention that credit where it's due, as I always say, because we always complain about coloring in comics a lot on this channel. Yes, I'm with you there. I actually like how that particular page and the whole story actually is colored. So I do like it in color as well. Yeah, so nice job there. And just get it re-inked. Let's not get into that.
No.
Frame in color mat to distract from the fading. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
do that
That's what I
either.
want to do. Put this on the wall. I hate
But
to tell you, but in California, there's really no such thing as indirect sunlight. I mean, it's like those movies where you open up and it's such a blight out that you can't see anything because it's
all
all
right.
fading.
Right on. Okay, cool. So yeah, let us move on to the next piece, everybody. This will be piece number 4. And for that, we go to this. John Sable, Freelance, Bloodtrail, number 6. So this is not, for those of you not too familiar, this is not the original John Sable Freelance series from the 80s. It's the later mini-series that he did when he came back to the title in the 2000s. But fantastic and beautiful pencils and inks, man. Nice double page splash here.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked that it had him, in Sunny, and then it has the bottom panel with him in his costume with the mask on and everything. And, they don't show up often. And when they do, Rick keeps grabbing them.
Yeah, exactly. And when I don't know about, so on this series, do you know if on this series he did the art all on board? Because I used to own some pages from the first series, from the issues where he was drawing on acetate sheet. No, not vellum, acetate.
Oh, I've seen those as well. He used to do. I'm not sure why or how, but he. Yeah, I thought that was you, Rick. Yeah, he's been around a while.
Fegredo,
it's just I loved that book growing up. I mean, growing up in the 80s, American Flag, Sable, and Nexus were my 3 favorite comics, independent comics.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah, and I know Caesar and Rick both love it. Yeah, for sure. So I know they appreciate seeing this too.
They're the ones I'm always fighting with whenever there's a page coming up.
Yeah. That's what I figure as well. Yeah. Yes, sir, for sure, Dan, for sure. Guilty as charged, absolutely. I did want to say, and just literally, we were speaking about the coloring on this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I gotta say, okay, that coloring was pretty nice. This coloring is hideous.
Too dark.
Like, what the hell is going? Like, what are you doing? Wow. Yeah, not pretty.
Looks better in black and white.
Oh yeah. Let's show it again. So our last memory of it is a good one.
Almost all these pages from this Bloodtrail book were done, I think, as double pages like this on one board.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Wow. One large board, right? Yeah. That's very cool. That's kind of like how CrossGen used to do their stuff. Like not every book, but some books like Ruse. That's how they did every single issue on these large double pagers or whatever. With a few exceptions here and there, they do a single page, but most of the time it was a large double page. Yeah, so CrossGen was actually printing their own boards at that double page spread size. Yeah, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so very neat. And I gotta say, speaking of John Sable, FYI, and I probably shouldn't mention it out loud because, of course, then I don't know if I'd want to pay the money nowadays. I don't know if I'd want to drop the money on it. But I just want to say there's an issue. A few years ago, there was all this John Sable art coming out on the market at auction, right? It was this issue, and then that issue, and then this issue. And I was like, oh my God. There's this one particular issue I remember dearly, and it's because not only did I love the story, but I loved it so much that one day in English class in I don't know if it was my junior year in high school, we had to write a short story. Right? And I spent so much time obsessing, thinking. I kill time, I kill time, I kill time. And suddenly it's like, okay, this thing's due in a couple of days. I haven't figured anything out yet. What am I going to do? How am I going to come up with a short story in 2 days? So I decided to rip off this one-issue story of John Sable. And I was so terrified, though. In a sense, I was smart because I don't want to get caught. But so terrified of getting caught, thinking, well, the English teacher probably doesn't read comics, doesn't know anything about comics. But can you imagine if he did? Can you just my luck, if he did, and he happens to probably, he's an adult. So if he does read comics, there's a good chance he'd be reading things like John Sable. I'm like, but if he did, oh my God, I'm going to get he's probably going to get expel me or something for completely cheating that way. And so in the end, what I did was I copied the story, changing names, obviously, but I also changed the ending. And the thing is the ending, the way it ends, it's what makes the story so good.
Right.
So I changed it just so I couldn't be accused of plagiarism, but my ending was just garbage. So it was just like, what is this shit? It starts so good and then it goes down off a cliff. But anyways, in the end, I ended up getting like a 7 on 10 on it or whatever it was. And I got away with the plagiarism, and that's really why I had hoped a few years back when this stuff was coming on the market. I was like, oh my God, and complete issues were coming out. I was like, oh my God, if that issue comes out, I'm going to go for it. I want to go for it. I want to own that complete issue. I want to have that story, and it never came out. And so now I don't know who was consigning that stuff. And so now I'm like, I wonder where that story is. Like, I wonder if and I never reached out to either Rick or Caesar, and I'm thinking they might know where it is. Yeah. But I was like, yeah, I don't know. And now I don't know if I can afford it, even if it's out there. So I don't know if I want to mention what issue it is, whatever. But anyways, whatever. I just thought it was a nice anecdote to tell these guys, and there you go. And let me see what you guys are saying. Oh, David says, love John Sable. Mike Grell has visited Down Under here a few times. Yeah, love his James Bond version too. Yeah, I remember buying that as well. So Ruben inadvertently created ChatGPT. I'm not saying anything. Ruben the plagiarizer. Yes, I admit it. I admit it. We all do stupid things when we're in school as kids, right? Pay the smart kid in class to write it for you like the rest of us. Nah, it's just like I had to do it myself. At least that way I felt like I still worked, Once wrote a short story while watching a boxing match on TV. The story turned out to be Western, where 2 cowboys boxed to settle a dispute. Not bad. That's not bad. Fist the old fisticuffs, why not?
Ruben, I got one up on you. I could one up you on that. When I was a kid, I plagiarized my brother, who plagiarized a Jimmy Olsen comic book.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Had to write a mystery, and get this, it was for the same teacher 2 years later, and I got away with it.
What? Oh my gosh. So you used the exact same story your brother had done, plagiarized, but changing your names at least for yourself?
Yes, I changed the names and everything. I even had to, it had to be typed, and I couldn't type, so I had to go through the process of rewriting it in my handwriting to give it to my mom to type it for me.
Oh my God. The things we do, right? The things we do.
More than anything as a kid, I wanted to work on comics.
Yeah.
And I was just not a creative writer and not a good artist.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like a frustrated creator, right? Like, yeah, a lot of us were like that. Yeah, exactly.
Luckily, they all need bean counters.
Yeah. Physics. So my college physics paper had to do with an antimatter wave destroying the multiverse. Exactly. It was called Crisis on Earth. Oh, man. All right. Let us move on, everybody, to the next piece. And for that, we go to number 5. And that is this one. Green Lantern versus Aliens from the first issue of the miniseries. It's page 5 splash. Killer. I love Leonardi, Rick Leonardi, and look at that, everybody. My buddy Mike Perkins on inks. One of his earlier, I think his first DC job, if I'm not mistaken, actually. Although he had been professional. Mike had been professionally working at that point, I believe, for 6 years. But being British, he was working over in the UK. And I believe this is the first time he got to work for one of the big two. And for him, it was a dream, yeah, because he loves the Leonardi as well. So, yeah, and you got what a spectacular piece to get, John, out of this whole miniseries.
Thanks. Back in the day, Jim Warden used to rep Leonardi. So after the comic was published and came out, being a big Green Arrow and Black Canary fan, I called up Jim and said, "Hey, I want this splash page. Can you get it for me?" And he called me a couple of days later saying, "Yeah, it's yours."
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if you know Jim Warden, but he's a great guy and a great dealer to deal with.
Yes, I don't know him well. I haven't actually had a lot of dealings with him, but when I did, they were absolutely perfect. So yeah, nice guy for sure. So yeah, fantastic page, absolutely, Tom. Sweet page, says Rick. Yeah, for sure. First root beer and priest, best show ever. And Ruben's teacher turned out to be Mike Carlin, and Ruben never got to work at DC. You found me out, Marcus. You found me out. Yeah, but no, yeah, this is fantastic. What a great page. Of course, as Mike's rep, I had a few pages from the series that I sold over the years, but yeah, none so fabulous as this splash page with 2 inset panels. So yeah, really, really awesome. Met Leonardi here at this past December's Maui Comic Con. Yeah, great guy. That's awesome, Karl. Good for you. Yeah, very, very cool. So yeah, so that's another nice one.
Yeah, thanks.
Right. Sorry, John?
I said thanks. Yeah, no, I had that page since the book came out, pretty much. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I love that a lot of these are like ones that you've had for as long as you have. Yeah, it's really amazing. Okay, let us move on now. And this is off topic. So, Stanley, I will tell you, not in the near future, because so he finished the 3-part Black Label Batman book, which I've already put all the art out. He has done a 10-page, I think it's a 10-page story for a Robert E. Howard project being published by Titan. But I don't even know when it's being published. He does variant covers here and there, so he's got some covers. And he's kind of currently waiting. Well, okay, I don't think it's been announced, so I can't tell you what he's actually, other than the Robert E. Howard thing, I can't tell you what he's been working on because it hasn't even been announced. I don't think. But I guess I can say it's a one-shot issue. I think like a 40-page one-shot issue he's been working on. And waiting on news. This is what I'm kind of waiting on, because waiting on news, him and Dan Jurgens are waiting on news, which still may be at least another month away, if not more, to find out if they will get a green light to do a follow-up story to the Black Label Batman First Night project that they just finished. So that's what they would love. That's what he would love to do more than anything, is a follow-up to that. And me too. I would hope that they get a chance to do that. So he's trying to take other short-term jobs in the meantime to keep buying time until he hears whether that's going to be able to happen or not. So as for an art drop, so he hasn't been doing much. So I guess all I can say is whenever this one shot that he's working on, not when it gets announced. When it gets announced, I guess I can show the cover art. But whenever it gets ultimately goes on sale, then that'll probably be, I'm assuming, my next art drop for Mike. The art to that one issue. And I think it'll be popular because I guess I can say, without saying, I can say that the characters involved are characters he has already worked on, and it was a pretty popular series. Yeah, that's it. I don't want to risk getting in trouble. That's all I'll say. He's probably watching this going, what the hell? Shut the fuck. Yeah, so there you go. So, but thank you for asking, Stanley. After the first piece that was picked, I can't help but wonder what Green Arrow would look like in a tight leather suit. After the
first, talking about the Darwyn Cooke Catwoman.
Oh, because of the the Darwyn Cooke Catwoman. Oh boy. John. All right, everybody. Yeah, let us go to the sixth piece here. And so that one is, check this one out. Action Comics number 546 by Gil Kane, pencils and inks. Actually, I believe he probably in this period was going straight to ink, drawing with his Sharpies, believe it or not, directly, just to save himself time. And that's how. Sorry, John?
I said, I believe it.
Yeah. That's how confident he was, though, you know. But yeah, fantastic stuff. Great content. Superman, right, in the first top half. I mean, holy crap. And then he follows with that beautiful multi-figured Clark Kent transformation page. And then that gorgeous close-up at the bottom, which, if it looks familiar, everybody, that's because that's what I use for the background of the, well, here, let me show you. Just to remind you. There you go. So I loved it that much that I figured let's use that for this. So yeah, so go ahead and tell us a little bit about this one, John.
This one came up for sale not too long ago. I bought it, I think, in Heritage or some other auction.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
It was a little on the expensive side, but within the zone I expected it to be. I loved Gil Kane's 80s DC work. I've got a page also that's of Green Arrow and Black Canary from a story that I remembered, you know, and bought that even though it was slightly faded. I mean, this has been out of the sun. I imagine if I framed it and put it on the wall, it'd probably start to fade. But, you know, thank God it's looks great in rich blacks, and it's going to stay that way. I mean, yeah, Sword of Adam, I love a page. I missed one a couple of years ago for stupid reason, and, you know, still on the hunt for a good one. But I loved his DC 80s stuff. He just did.
Just FYI, Lee, because Lee mentions no Sharpies on this page. I mean, they are still markers, though. He was in this period. He was drawing, basically inking with markers. But thank God for this issue, he seems to have used good ones, not the crappy quality ink ones. You know, so it survived nicely, and it's a rarity from this time period, right? So
yeah. I'm happy to buy more interior Kane pages from DC. I mean, can't afford the Marvel, Spider-Man ones, but DCs are still attainable, and they're gorgeous, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, for those that wonder why I'm such a big DC fan, it's growing up as a kid. Like I said, the cartoons were my gateway, and I watched the Filmation stuff. And growing up as a kid, I never saw the Fantastic Four cartoons or the Marvel superhero cartoons that just took the Jack Kirby strips and animated them. I only ever saw the Spider-Man cartoon, and so I read Spider-Man and DC's basically.
Yeah. No, I get it for sure. You don't got to make excuses. You like what you like, and that's it.
Yeah.
Man. You know. Good evening to you, by the way, Mark, Mr. Mark Fong, all the way from Singapore, John. So we have a very international audience.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So he's like David Barr in Australia. They're both at work right now. You know. They're already, slacking off at work as they listen to, which I appreciate, of course. So thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it always. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, fantastic page. I'm a lifelong Gil Kane fan myself, and Superman fan as well. So yeah, and like I was saying, I remember that page coming up, and I was thinking, oh yeah, oh my gosh, if it could stay within a more reasonable price for me, because I do buy Superman art, but again, I try to not stray too often from the group Tom Grummett stuff or whatever.
Right.
Just to try to keep my spending down or whatever, my collecting down. But so I knew it was going to get out of hand for me. But boy, did I think, like, God, I would love to own that page. So awesome that you ended up being the one to get for it, though. So congrats to you. Yeah, it's a great page for sure.
I could never do that. I mean, at one point I was thinking about like Steve Root only, but there is just too many artists whose work I admire and like to limit myself to just one.
I get it. And just so everybody knows, if you wonder, like, okay, so how do you sort of narrow it down to just really two? Because Mike Perkins, I still buy a lot of his work. He fulfills my desire. I've always been a realist. I love realism in illustration. So non-comics illustration, I was always a big fan of non-comics illustration, and I like realism. So his art fulfills that need for me. And then Tom's art fulfills the, typically comic booky style that I enjoy, and and still reasonably priced. And that's why I love that. So when people think, okay, but how do you manage? Because you must like more artists than just those two guys. And of course I do. I like you, John. I've got really varied tastes, right? But this is the problem. I have such varied tastes that when I allow myself to just buy pretty much anything that crosses my path because I like it, then I end up having a collection which feels very like it's cool because I have all these artists examples, but then I'm always like, but it feels like there's no unified theme, if you know what I mean. And I kind of would rather have some sort of a theme so it doesn't feel like a hodgepodge of just random stuff,
Right. I get it.
Right. But that's not the only reason. The other reason is because I love so many different artists that I if I was to collect that way, where I get examples from all my favorite artists, I don't have the ability to limit I would have to limit myself to, a couple of pieces per artist or whatever it is, and I can. That's the thing, is when I really like an artist, I want to keep buying more of that artist's work. Right?
Yeah. No, I get it. It is hard. And part of it is also just, I remember when I first got into the hobby, I was really wanting to get a Steve Ditko Spider-Man page, and they were about 1,500 at the time.
Yeah.
Right. 1,500 for a page that had Spidey in like every panel. And I just, at the time I was making like 40,000. And they're like, God, that's like a lot of money and I just couldn't quite bring myself to pull the trigger. And of course now it's far out of reach. And unfortunately, a lot of things have gotten far out of my reach that I wanted to have. I mean, I was at San Diego when they first started selling Dark Knight pages, and I remember looking at a, splash page for $800.
Right.
And the thing is thinking back, I should have had the money, but I think I just couldn't bring myself to spend that much.
Right. I mean, I get it. It's all context too, though, right?
Yeah.
It's all context, like, oh, how much money am I making at this time? Could I afford it? If I have the money, should I spend the money? So that's still an issue too, right? You're like, it's not a very developed hobby as well at that point. So you're kind of also probably thinking, this stuff feels more like I'm picking up mementos at the con, right? Because you're not really, you don't have this established market for this stuff like online and whatever early on, So yeah, you're feeling like you're also probably maybe thinking, a lot of people are probably thinking, well, let me see, $800. Like, my God, $800. I could probably get like a very fine copy of like Spidey 1 or, if you were still a comic collector, right? You're probably thinking that. So yeah, so it's all context, right? So and like I always say, 800 to a lot of us in those days would have been still a fortune. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, I think it was a lot of money. I mean, I'd have to check, but I mean, I was probably in college at the time, but it's at the same time, it was, even if I had the money, it just pulling the trigger because, I just,
Totally get it, man. I just want to say good evening and hello. We got a new person coming in, I believe for the first time ever, but correct me, maybe it's been the first time in a long time. Michael Patrick Sullivan, who says the theme of my collection is me. These are the things that speak to me. I love that.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's very awesome. And of course, we got Stanley telling me, just do it, Ruben. Buy everything. Yeah, that doesn't work for me, Stanley. It's easy. It's too easy to let that happen. And you know what? That's how I started collecting. That's how I started, by buying everything that I could afford. It just, oh, look at this on eBay. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at this. Oh, I remember that. And then I had a whole hodgepodge of sort of things that made no sense together. And I was like, it doesn't feel like a collection. It's not
right.
Yeah,
Well, sort of Batman, Robin, and Titans have always kind of been the center of my focus. But I mean, big DC, and for me, it's also, it's always been an artist-driven thing. I mean, there are some books where I have pages from because I remember the book so well or the page so well that I bought it, even though it's not like a top tier artist kind of a thing. But I have very mainstream tastes like a lot of people, and I like the Frank Millers, the Gil Kanes, and all those guys, and would love samples of each. And in the past, I've had 2 different Wolverine pages by Miller and a Daredevil page, and unfortunately I've just never held on to any of them long enough. Sometimes just offers came in that I couldn't turn down, or I needed money and I sold them.
Like we said earlier,
part was in my early days, and I had the naivete to just think, I'll just get another one.
You get another one later on. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times in the 2000s, in the first half of the 2000s, I was like, I guess I should get me a Miller Daredevil page, like a great one, And like, they had been like $1,500 average, for like quite a while, But then I would keep saying, they've been that same price for a while, and they're plentiful enough. Like, whatever. Okay, whatever. That can wait. And then one day suddenly it was 2,500 each, no longer 15. And then it's like, oh, damn, I should have. And you start playing that game with yourself, like, well, I can't pay 25 now that I could have had it for 15. And then, right, you tell yourself that for a little while, and suddenly they're 3,000, 35, and then you're like, fuck that, I'm not getting any of that shit. I guess that ship has sailed, right?
Yeah. Well, let's put things in perspective. This was probably 1996. I was doing some audit work up in the Bay Area, and I got tired of flying back and forth to LA with the partner at the CPA firm. And so I stayed up there on the weekends and just took the car, and I drove to San Mateo, where the Donnelly boys had a store. And I walk in, and there are stacks and stacks of artwork over these comic bins that are just open, exposed. The word balloons were falling off the pages into the comic bins, and getting lost between the comics and all that stuff. But I bought a Wolverine miniseries page by Miller for $250 with Wolverine in every panel. Part of it was a vertical splash of Wolverine like leaping out a window. It's now in Kelvin Mao's collection. And then I wound up replacing, after selling that one, I wound up replacing it with one that I liked even more, although some will say it's not good because it was hand colored by Olaf, but it didn't bother me because the colors were dead on. But it was a half splash of Wolverine grabbing his friend, but like in the neck and lifting him up off the ground, and the
Oh,
Japanese,
I remember.
escape. And I bought that one for $3.50.
Oh, yeah, nice. I mean, whatever,
How the hobbies changed,
Yeah, for sure. And absolutely, David, that's what we're talking about, right? You have responsibilities, so for you, it's like until the school fees for the kids came to an end, then you could start collecting original art. Because, of course, all those fees are sucking up all the extra money you would otherwise have. So, yeah. But, you got to be responsible and you do what you got to do, and to not put your family on living under a bridge somewhere, and that's it. And eventually you hope that you get to that point where, like, okay, I freed up enough cash where I can start collecting what I really want to collect. So yeah. Yes, FOMO is always there. John C, better still sell the house and buy more art. That's for those of you who don't mind living in an apartment, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, so excellent. Okay, let us move on, everyone, to the next piece of art. And for that, so we just saw the Gil Kane Superman page from Action Comics. Brilliant page, by the way. And we're going to go to DC's other mainstay. And I guess you guys will notice that is kind of a running theme. You'll see some of the biggest DC characters tonight. Quite a few times. But this is a master of design. Probably one of the few names tonight we're going to see that is actually not a big name. Not well known by a lot of people, even people who've been around for a long time in the hobby. He's just not a very well-known artist. But of course, for proper reasons, it's not like he's a regular monthly artist who's constantly been working for years. But John will tell us about him, and you'll see why. But this is a really cool piece. Great. This is a guy all about graphic design, is what I love about it. So check it out. Legends of the Dark Knight, number 50, page 2 and 3 by David Williams. And of course, you guys probably, I bet you there's more people watching right now and on Rewind who are more familiar with Karl Kesel as the inker than they are David Williams as a penciler. Yeah. And let me show you all the colored version, which is okay. I don't hate it, but I love the contrast on the black and white way better. I love the lighting on the black and white version. So very, very beautiful, I find. And yeah, just really, really nice graphic design here, What can you tell us about this one, John?
This one was supposed to be part of a two-part Mr. Freeze story that Dave was working on. If I remember, I think the guy who wrote it was Gerald's. He used to work for, I think, Amazing Heroes, and he had written it, but it was taking like a while, and Dave had like finished the first issue, but like never got the script for the second one. And it just was taking so long that even though it was sort of on the schedule but never published, these 2 pages were published as a preview, but the whole story never got published. And this double page spread, though, I absolutely loved. And when Dave got the art returned to him, I bought this double page spread and another page off of them.
Right. So do you know if he actually ever got to complete, did he draw all the art for the story and it didn't get published, or did he only get to a certain point?
So the first issue was completely penciled and drawn. There are only a few pages that were inked because they didn't pay the inker. They didn't pay Karl to ink it until they realized it was going to go to press. So these pages, which they decided to use for the preview, they had Karl ink them, but the rest was all in pencil form. And I think I tried to buy the whole thing off of Dave, but he wanted more than I could afford. And it just wound up being that I got a couple of pages and wound up like selling the rest of the story without these pages. to someone, I forget who, but they were happy with it. And, I have no intent of selling the pages I have. And, the second story, I think Dave started drawing a couple pages in the beginning, but I don't think he got too far, more than like 2 or 3 pages into that second part of the issue.
Right.
But this would have really made a big name for him had this whole issue had come out back then.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know a little bit about his background, right? He's not been a regular in comics because he goes and works as isn't he in animation or
animation? So when he was first doing comics, and he did Jaguar for DC's Impact line.
Oh wow! Oh my gosh, okay. I remember that.
And he did other stuff too. I mean, Dave was born to draw Spider-Man and Batman. Those are like his 2 favorite characters, and he draws them so well. It's amazing. And it's just, I met him in 92 when he had these pages before he turned them into DC, and like, oh my God, I want to buy that. And I couldn't. And then I wound up becoming like friends with him, and over the years, and he used to live not far from me in LA, and I used to go to movies with him all the time and stuff like that. And then he moved to New Mexico, so I hardly see him, but we're still in touch. And he worked at Warner Animation. After Warner Animation, he moved to Warner Consumer Products, where he worked for many years drawing like Scooby-Doo, Space Ghost, Harry Potter, all the sort of licensed movies and things like that.
Yeah. And that stuff tends to pay more all the time. So that's why also I think, right, when they get into that kind of business, it's like, well, it's hard to go back to comics. And when they do go back to comics, it's only because they love it, right? They still love it so much that they're like, okay, it doesn't pay me as much, but I want to do some storytelling or whatever. And, but then they don't last long because they're like, okay, they're getting another gig from the animation or whatever, that much higher paying, Yeah. And so that's why you see some of these guys jump back and forth, and they only do like, what's his name? We've shown his art on my show and tells quite often. Gabriel Hardman. Gabe Hardman, same thing, right? He's kind of back and forth with comics, animation, whatever. And it's because he gets paid so much more outside of comics. And so when he does do comics, though, it's not for very long and doesn't do that much, right? So,
yeah.
But yes, David, I see what you mean about the way that Batman is drawn on the Dave Williams piece. I could see what you mean by the Mazzucchelli ish version of that early career Batman. That's what I see in it, And John says, so this never got published, but we get DC's Beach Blanket Bad Guy Summer Special. I mean, yeah, John, that's what happens sometimes. Yeah. The decision making isn't always the best, let's say that, And Caesar says, so didn't Dave stay with John for a bit?
I don't think Dave ever stayed with me, but we were good friends for a while. Like I said, he used to live not too far, and I buy stuff from him all the time. And he also, I have a ton of Dave like rough pencils and like post-it note sketches that he just do while he was at work and then give to me. So I've got a bunch of like loose stuff of his. I don't think all that stuff is up on Comic Art Fans. I know he's asked me not to put up some of the looser stuff, but he's talented.
Yeah.
If you look, one of the pieces that I have from Dave is a tiny little like 5x7 Batman, and it looks just like Mazzucchelli in my thing. He did it in like 1991. It's just like Batman looking up, and it just, Dave, that's sort of like Dave's natural style that he gravitates to. I mean, he's self-taught, and while never part of the the Adam Hughes and the studio guys that Gaijin guys back in Atlanta. He had a style that very much fits in with them.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Okay, so from there, let us move on to the next piece. That piece is going to be, I'm not even sure that my thumbnails are so tiny in this software. I sometimes can't see what it's going to be, but it'll be a surprise to me too. Yeah, so let's check this out. Oh yes, the New Teen Titans Annual #2. Yeah, the awesome John Byrne penciled, Jose Luis García-López inked issue. I love this issue. My gosh, this is awesome and really, really nice page too.
I actually used to have 2 other pages from this issue that were like the 2 best pages of the issue with all the Titans in costume. They're currently in Rob Liefeld's collection.
Wow.
I sold them years ago after my cancer scare to this guy in Canada who offered me a great deal of money for the 2 pages, and I took him up on the offer.
It wasn't me, everybody. It wasn't me. I promise. I'm not the only Canadian buying artwork. Don't worry. Okay, get back to this.
No, the guy's in like Toronto. He's I think he's a headhunter, if I remember correctly. I don't think he's got anything on calf, but for a while he had some of the best stuff, around. But yeah, I bought this page off of Jim Warden. Jim Warden used to have piles of art at San Diego and WonderCon that were like just piles of art that were $75.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm assuming, John, would that have been back in those days where even the John Byrne Fantastic 4 pages he still had left were like $75, $100? That would have probably been around that same time, right?
Yeah, there was a page that I was tempted to buy, but I passed on. It was a $75 Fantastic 4 page with Mudball Thing, like in Central Park, where he's getting like thrown in snowballs at by the kids, and then he winds up like rolling them up in a giant snowball. It was in that sequence, and I was tempted, but I was like, nah, I think I'll wait till I get a page with all 4 of them on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, brilliant thinking on my part.
Yeah. Well, so, it's like I was saying before, right? There's always some reason why you think, yeah, let me wait. I can wait. And then it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, whatever. We all make those mistakes. Whatever. It is what it is, A Canadian headhunter. I thought we were all nice. Must be from Montreal.
Not that kind of headhunter, but yes, he's in Toronto.
That's funny. Okay, so let's move on to the next piece. And for that, let me see what we got. Okay, so that's number 9. And so the next piece is this one. So this one, I wanted to show it because I to be honest, everyone, I wanted to show an example of how, well, everybody remembers how in the early 2000s when Greg was working at CrossGen doing Sojourn, and that was when he really began relying heavily on the photo ref and not even bothering to change the expressions on the faces of the women that he was, taking from sort of girly mags and whatnot. And so, the whole bad reputation that he earned at the time, that's where it all started. But I wanted to show this to show that, it's a shame that all that happened, because this is from before CrossGen, and this is before he started relying heavily on photo ref. And you can see he already knew how to draw, and he could draw very well. Yeah. And I love the Black Canary, and this is just a really beautiful page. So yeah, I figured I'd like to show some early work by Land.
Yeah, I think I bought this off of I bought it at a convention. I don't remember if it was off the artist or the dealer, but I bought it and I just thought it was a great looking page with Black Canary leaping forward. And I remember that issue really well, and especially the cover, which I was trying to track down at one point, but now it's like been secured in someone else's collection. So,
yeah.
Well, I think the covers were like by Greg Land and Brian Stelfreeze.
Stelfreeze, yeah, which was a really weird combination when you think about it. Like, why would like Stelfreeze is really, I mean, his inking style is just like his penciling style, and it just, I don't know, it's so different from Greg's style. So it's just kind of weird to me that they paired them up,
Yeah, yeah, but it worked, and there was a great looking cover at to no avail.
Yeah.
Why
I never,
page?
so I never read this series though, John. How was this series?
In the early days, it was really, really good book.
Yeah.
In the early days, well, it was what's his name? Wasn't it?
Was it Chuck Dixon?
Yeah.
Was it Chuck Dixon?
Yeah, I think it was Chuck Dixon, and he was writing like all the deep Batman titles. He was writing Batman. He wrote Nightwing and all this stuff, and the stuff all flowed very well together. And I remember liking, the early Birds of Prey stuff. It was really good.
Okay.
And I think I continued to buy it, but I don't remember if I always read it. But it was always a good book. And then I know Gail Simone took it over, and that was good. And just haven't really picked up comics, regularly for 12 years now, though. Pre-porn Greg Land, yes.
Pre-porn Greg Land, yes. Oh, sorry, you're saying I'll be ready? What? Never you fear? Ready for what, man? I don't even want to ask. Sorry, but time to go. No worries. The girlfriend must have arrived, Karl. Aloha. Thank you very much. Mahalo. And say hello to the girlfriend for us. Be well. See you next time.
Thanks, Karl.
And Marcus says that the internet was slower back then.
That's true. It would take him a long time to download a good picture, so he just drew it by hand.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let us jump to the next one, everyone. And I think I know what the next one is. One of my favorites. Is it? I don't know. Okay, let's check it out. I know it's Superman and Batman. Again, let me see. There's
gonna be a lot of Batman,
Yeah, a lot of Batman and Superman. I think there's like at least six pages with Batman and 5 at least with Superman, something like that. Yeah. So let's check this one out. Yes. Oh, yeah. The Legends of the DC Universe. Yeah. So okay. So obviously, I think you guys all know that when I say mostly big name artists, Dave Taylor is not a big name artist, of course, but of course Kevin Nowlan is. And yeah, I mean, what can I say? Kevin Nowlan. How could you not be a fan of Kevin Nowlan's work? I mean, just it's so good. Whether he's penciling, inking, or just inking somebody else. I mean, fantastic stuff. I love this.
Yeah. This was like a one issue that came out that was, Kevin Nowlan inking, and it was a retelling of Superman and Robin's first time meeting. And It was just a gorgeous issue, beautiful inks by Nowlan over Dave Taylor. And being a big Batman Robin fan, and Superman, I love this issue. And I never would ever see pages. And if you look, there are very few out there. I know that a lot of comic book artists themselves look forward to being inked by Kevin Nowlan so that they could have Kevin Nowlan art, because they get the art returns and they get to keep those pages. Like I know Dave Johnson was hoping years ago, when I knew him well and in the late 90s, that he would be inked by Nowlan sometime so he could have the pages. And there are very few pages of this out there. And I found this in some gallery online that had it. It was probably a little more pricey at the time that I wanted to spend, but given that it's a great page, and it's great, just those bottom two, the middle panel and the bottom panel, and just loved it. It was worth the $500 to me.
Yeah, I I would say so. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, just splendid inking. I've always been a fan of Nowlan's right from the beginning, so of his career. Yeah, so absolutely. I wanted to say hello to Evgeny. What's up, buddy? You came back. Wow. Appreciate it, dude. Good to see you. Here we go. Let me pop you up there. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate it. I wanted to say, Marcus, are you saying is this really? I mean, I guess you're being serious, right? I mean, so are you saying Dave Taylor is known for his coloring? Because that's not ringing any bells for me.
Me neither.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, let us know, Marcus. Like, is he known for coloring, or has he colored a lot? It's wow. When I saw your comment, I was like, is he joking? Just because I don't know him. I mean, I know Dave Taylor, but not that familiar with too much of his work. He hasn't done like a lot of mainstream, super mainstream. He's not one of those guys who did like long runs on mainstream titles and stuff, Yeah, but coloring, that's okay. I mean, I'll take your word for it if you're being serious there. I find it weird that I wouldn't know about that. All I'm familiar with are his credits for penciling, And of course, thank you. Yes, of course. That's awesome. And this is a real find, says Mark. What a bargain. It's fantastic. By the way, John, whenabouts did you procure that page, the Dave Taylor Nowlan page?
Yeah, it's been a while now. I'd say probably at least a good decade or so.
Okay.
I've had it for a while. I mean, at the time, it was on the pricey side, but I've been wanted a page from that book forever, never see him show up. And I decided just to pull the trigger online and, came in the mail. And I was like, awesome. And I remember when I posted on CAF, another collector reached out to me and, I guess he'd seen it, but thought it was too overpriced. But then he wound up, I think, finding a page. But there are very few out there from this issue. And it was like a one issue. So.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome. It's an awesome page. Glad you got it, man. And no worries, Caesar. But I'd heard about this Hellboy gallery show in Santa Monica. I don't know. I didn't know that it was just like today. I thought it was some kind of a touring thing that it stays there for a while.
It's actually going on for I think a couple more weeks, Caesar, and you could go and check it out if you want. I was there last night. He must have looked at my posts I posted on Facebook all the photos I took. There's a Mike Mignola art Facebook thing that I belong to, and this thing is like 4 blocks away from where my daughter lives, and I had to drop her off yesterday night. So at 7:30. So after dropping her off, I just stopped in, took pictures, and left.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So he's saying it only started today. Today was the opening. It
started yesterday. Yesterday. Yesterday was the opening. Mike was there with his wife, and there were some other people there. It's going on. I think if you check the third post I made, I think it has the date. I think it's to like July 20th or so.
Okay.
So there's still time to go check things out if you want.
Okay.
But cool. You could save yourself the trip and just look at I posted every single piece that was there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Very cool. There's only one by Mike, and it's not for sale, and everything else is done by other artists. So.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
I celebrate 30 years of Hellboy, so there's a couple of pieces that are nice that were there that I like, but not. And there's one that I'm still sleeping on, but we'll see.
It seems funny to me though that they would celebrate. The whole point of it is to celebrate 30 years of Hellboy, and yet that there would only be 1 or 2 pieces of Mignola's work, and everything else is from all the other artists who have done Hellboy.
No, not from other artists that have done Hellboy. It's people who were invited to do the gallery show, I guess, and like Hellboy and want to celebrate, the character.
So they created
Hellboy, not just Mike. Yeah.
So they created pieces.
Yeah, some of them were created just for the show. Others were published pieces that were put up on the wall, stuff like that,
Okay. Interesting. Right, yeah. Well, I guess you can go, Caesar. You're close enough. They have something similar going on in DTLA for 2.
downtown LA.
Oh, downtown. Okay.
DTLA is downtown LA.
Okay. Yeah. I heard about that one as well.
Yeah, I haven't gone to that one yet. It's going on for a while. I wanted to go last Monday when a friend was in town, but unfortunately the galleries closed on Mondays. So.
Oh, okay. Yes, Karl says that it's called Kirby Vision, where there's only 1 or 2 Kirby pieces, but a bunch of pop and fine artists doing pieces inspired by Kirby. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's close enough to me.
It's like a more of an inspired by Kirby type show rather than a Kirby art show, right?
Where do you live, Karl?
Yeah, where do you live, Karl? He'll let you know in a second. And I brought the wife on Friday, but they were closed. So they're closed. So one is closed on Mondays, the other is closed on Fridays. What the hell's going on here?
I think the Kirby show is closed Sundays and Mondays. Okay. You know? So
he's in the Outdoor Village.
I'm in Culver City. So if you want to like drive to me, I'll drive the rest of the way. Or is Atwater Village closer to downtown all by its own? It's kind of roundabout.
I guess we'll
I don't think the Lucas Museum is open yet. I'm waiting for that one.
No, Stanley. Stanley, that's what I've heard is that that's at least not until about a year from now, at least. Yeah. So Karl says, not far. I think it's right between us.
Caesar, just do a Google search for Kirby Vision LA because it's been written up in the LA Times and other places, I believe. So you should be able to see. But as someone mentioned, it's only like 1 or 2 pieces of Kirby original and everything else is inspired by other artists. But I still want to check it out because it sounds cool. Yeah. See what other people's interpretation of Kirby is. What's
up, Alex? Good to see you, dude. Oh, Alex, you changed your name. You made it shorter. Was that because of what I said last time? Because you had a long name? Alex? Not because Alex is an artist. So his name was like Alex Garcia Illustration or something, one of these long ass names to show that he's an illustrator, which I get, right? But it becomes very difficult to talk to people when you have these long ass names. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Thanks for dropping in again, Alex. Good to see you. I'll check out the Hellboy Gallery next weekend if my drinking permits. What? Nice.
The gallery was a little hot inside, but it was nice and cool outside because it was that night. So
there you go. Drink all you want, though. Good to see you, Sean. I'm Clancy in the house. What is up? We will not be starting over, but the beauty of the internet and YouTube, as you know, Sean, is that you can hit rewind and fast forward and watch it on faster speed, whatever you want, my friend, whatever you want. That's awesome. Thanks for dropping in. Good to see you. Sean says, John, pull up a root beer float, sit back and relax. Yeah, you're going to have to rewind to understand what John's talking about. And so there you go. But yeah, let's move on with the show, everybody. Hit the next piece. The next piece, I love it. Love it. It's not really a Batman-related piece, and yet it is.
What is it?
This is, well, you'll see what I mean. This I love, and I actually have a couple of slides made for this, so you guys can see. Okay, here, let's check the first one out first. Check it out. So, so this is Torpedo by Jordi Bernet, and it was done in 1989 for a Spanish fanzine cover. Which, how cool is it that we have the scan of that fanzine from 1989, not even an American one, but a Spanish one from Spain, so we can compare. So that's really awesome. It was called the Ragnarok King Size Annual, to celebrate an issue celebrating Batman's 50th anniversary. And the reason I say that it's not really a Batman piece, but yet it is because, well, typically Torpedo is nothing to do with Batman. But of course, on this cover, being that it's a Batman issue that they were celebrating, he has Torpedo killing Batman, and he's lying there on the ground, which is really awesome. So
I love this piece.
Love this. John.
I've had this for a long time.
I was going to say this must have been one of your early ones.
Yeah, I got into Jordi Bernet, I think, through Fantagraphics, like reprinting the issues, and also that the Toth had done the first couple of chapters of the book before resigning because he didn't like the subject matter.
Okay.
He did like the first 2 stories, like 8-page stories, but then resigned because he thought it was too dark for him. And they got Jordi Bernet come in, who was perfect. And I got into it. I was really into the stories and funny and just everything about it. And I decided I started asking around about and I believe it or not, I found that Dan Brereton, who's comic artist and painter, who I was friends with, had a piece that he was willing to sell me. It wasn't cheap, but it was like the only one I could find, and it also had Batman in it, and it was sort of vintage. And I'm also told that I believe it was published in a Spanish Playboy magazine, and so I haven't tracked that down, but I will one day.
You mean this piece?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Really? That must.
I think it's in.
Can you imagine how hard it would be to have to track down a specific issue of like a Spanish version of Playboy? It's a shame that I can't be bothered. I don't get paid to do this, and I can't be bothered to do any research. But those are the things that happen sometimes.
Yeah.
But oh my God, what's this? Oh my gosh, everybody.
Did I have that attached to mine, or you did that?
No, I went through some people, I think, that were in your comment section.
Yeah, that's how I found out.
Right.
What that was in the Playboy.
Yeah, and then I followed the leads, whatever, and it led to these links, and I was like, oh, fantastic, they have it. Yeah, it's the 1991 issue of with Claudia Schiffer on the cover. So just a couple of years after the fanzine published it. So and that image, everyone, that you see on the left hand side, of course, is just how they published it with a little story next to it. But they published it that way, cutting Torpedo off at the knees, so you don't obviously see the Batman beneath him. But still pretty cool second usage, in Spain. So. Yeah.
2011 was one of my favorite SDCCs, and I got to meet Jordi Bernet at the show and talk to him. He doesn't speak a lot of English, but his son did and was doing translating. But it was kind of funny, but also a little miscommunication. Like, I showed him the piece, and he said he hadn't seen it since he had done the piece years ago, and it was great to see it because I actually had it in a portfolio book with me. Not knowing that he was going to be at the show. And I showed it to him, and I was talking to him, and something came up about, Mark Chiarello, because I'm friends with Mark Chiarello. I met him back in '93 when I was working for Image. And
brilliant illustrator in his own right, by the way.
Yeah. I used to own the cover to Batman Houdini. Unfortunately, I sold that, though.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a shame. Yeah. Well, whatever. We're not. We can't be lamenting.
Whatever. Yeah, but anyways, Jordi got really worried. Like, oh my God, don't show this to Chiarello. He won't get me any more work for DC because I'm shooting Batman. And the funny thing is Mark had seen it years ago in my collection, and I think that's one of the reasons Mark had reached out to him in the first place.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah, man. Well, amazing piece. So, congrats. Wow. I mean, I love the Torpedo stuff by Bernet. Anyways, so just to have a Bernet Batman included with Torpedo, like, wow, that's so. And it got published. I mean, that's awesome piece, man.
Yeah.
So
a favorite piece of mine as well.
Yeah. Sean, you've watched our own show that we did a few weeks back 60 times by now. Let me tell you, speaking, Mr. Clancy, speaking of 60 times, I do want to let you know, YouTube, I don't know why, I can't explain it, really pisses me off. Every now and then, this has been happening for several months now. There will be an episode that I do that I'll be following the views, how many views, how many people have viewed it. And all of a sudden, a few days after the show, I will notice that YouTube removes a bunch of the views. I mean, I don't know how that happens, but like it used to be up here, and then suddenly I check in the next day, and all of a sudden, dozens and dozens of views lower. So I don't know what the hell that's all about, bullshit, but I can tell you I had been following late into the night after our episode, and then early the next morning, I can tell you that I had been following it. It was like I remember seeing it at 299 views. I checked 20 minutes later, and it was at 304. And then several hours later, I checked again, and suddenly it was at 242. So they ripped us off on our episode by at least 62 views. So yeah, so whatever the number is now, you can add 62. That should be the real number. Anyways, I don't know why they did it, but there you go. I feel bad, but I don't know why they keep doing that. Every now and then they do that to some of the videos. I don't know what the hell that means. But hey, Karl, what is up? What is up? Good to see you as always. Yes, lots to catch up tomorrow, especially a lot of information you're going to learn on root beer floats. So I'm sure that will be very, very valuable to you. I'm sure you'll appreciate it if you don't know what a root beer float is or don't know how to eat or drink one. Yes. Any paella stains? I don't see any. So I'm sure John can confirm that the Bernet art is pretty clean. I would say it's probably very clean. No paella grease stains on it. Yeah. CJ. Batman should have known better. Oh, yeah, you said that. Yeah, Torpedo don't need no stinking vacuum. Hours of exhausting research. Yeah, you mentioned where was it? Hold on, I'm way behind here. Let me catch the right ones. Okay. Oh yeah, and then yes, such a dedication. I try. It's what makes it fun, right? I mean, I don't want to have to put more time in, but I can't help myself. I mean, if it makes the show better, yeah, why not? Got to do it. Sorry, man, I came 5 minutes late to this one, so I'm not sure what we said to make you say, ask Greg Land. I apologize, Mark.
About that Birds of Prey piece, probably, that you picked.
Yeah, but we haven't talked about that for a long time.
Oh, I know, but Marcus is a little slow. You got to be patient with him.
Actually, like I said, I'm 5 minutes behind on those, so it was my fault on that one, Marcus. Thank you, CJ. Thank you. Truly a man of the people. It's just research, honest, unrelated. But are we out of lotion? What an idiot! Oh my God, so funny. Caesar, the Kirby Vision show is better than the Hellboy show. Oh, look at that. Lee's dropping the gauntlet on that one. Giving his opinion. He's in Altadena. Okay, I'll watch it again after tonight's show and help you get more views. Well, there's also a thing with there's also, you got to be careful also, Sean, because there's also something with YouTube where, like, if the same person tries to give it a view too many times, it will stop counting views. So don't view it unless you really want to view it, I would say. Yeah, you guys definitely, all you guys who live in that same general LA area, you should absolutely, man. It's fun gathering together with like-minded people, man. You guys should get together.
Well, that's actually how I met Caesar. Is I had one years and years ago.
Oh, wow, okay, cool.
I had a gathering here at my place in Culver City pre-COVID, and that's how I met Caesar. I think we had traded on CAF, and he was in LA, so he came all the way down and hung out and had a great time.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Marcus, for clearing it up. He's referring to the Playboy issue. I gotta ask Lan. Ask Lan. Yeah, he'd have them all, I guess. And Michael says, so many LA collectors. Is that you? Are you saying that you are one of them, Michael? That's the question. We're now wondering if you can be added to that pool. And I know you are, Sean. I know. I didn't believe you watched it 60 times. Believe me. That's funny. Yeah, all went to John's place. Yeah, it's fun, man. Those get-togethers are fun, man. Hanging out with other collectors, like in person, without needing to be at a giant convention. That's I like that. Yeah, for sure. Karl's like, look at that. Ooh, sorry, let me get it. Time for another meetup, John. Look at that.
Okay.
And look at that. Oh. So Caesar stopped over at Lee's place once to make a purchase. That's cool. And Michael says that he is an LA guy. So you guys got to share each other's emails together.
Yeah.
Reach out to each other.
I met Michael back then.
What?
I think I met Michael back then.
Oh yeah, Michael, let us know.
I was still married, but my wife and daughter were out of town for the weekend, and I didn't go traveling with them because I was probably still not well enough. So things were probably a little foggy. Okay.
Sean. Yeah, it's interestingly enough. Okay, throughout my life, yes, I always hated the sound of my own voice, and I think most people agree when they've heard themselves on recordings. Okay. You're like, what? That's how I sound? Oh my God, So yes, I agree. But having said that, after I started doing these shows on YouTube, I started rewatching them. So for like a year, I rewatched every single one of the episodes after the fact. Just to see from the perspective of somebody watching on Rewind, just to see how they view, how they come off. And I got to tell you, it's still weird. It's still weird to see myself and hear myself. But I was happy and I'm happy to report that the shows were still very watchable, even though it's me that I'm looking at and seeing. But I do get what you're saying. Yeah, to have to pay other people to transcribe it. Yeah, I get that. I had the whole weirdness factor. Absolutely, for sure. True, Lee was on the way home. Oh, that's cool. No, Michael says no, he had not been there. Okay, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
But he's in that area. Yeah, you guys should all get together for sure. You can all go to Caesar's and help him open his 30 pieces of yet unboxed art. No, he can't. They can't do that because he needs to save those so we can do another unboxing on my channel around Christmas time. You don't know. You know, we did that. We did an episode with Caesar where all he did was we stayed here for like 3 hours and because he's so slow in unboxing all the shit that he gets in the mail. He had like 22 pieces that he unboxed live on camera with me.
That's funny. I'm not that patient. I usually open them pretty quick.
Yeah, I know. Most people are. Yeah. That's awesome. Remember, was one rewatching 60 times. No, I don't have that. I don't have that time. I don't have that kind of time. I don't even rewatch them anymore. I stopped rewatching because I don't have the time. But okay, let's move on, everybody. Next piece coming up is okay. So one of my favorite artists of the last 40 years, a brilliant man. I say this every time I show a piece on a show and tell. Check it out. So from World's Finest, 2 pages, because I couldn't choose one or the other. I had to show you guys both. One from the first issue. And I think it's cool to show both because one of them is very Batman-centric, while the next one is very Superman-centric. So they go side by side perfectly. And here, I always made a second slide for this. And beautiful inks by Karl Kesel. So props to him. I think he did a fabulous job here. And yeah, just gorgeous design, gorgeous pencils, gorgeous inks, gorgeous everything. Yeah, I really love these 2 pages, John.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I got the Batman page directly from Steve. When he moved to Los Angeles, I wound up getting to know him quite well. And sometimes when I'd have money or my birthday was coming up, I'd call him up and ask him if I could come down and buy some art. Yeah. And Steve still had almost all the world's finest pages, back then.
Yeah.
And I went out and picked one out. I don't remember how much I paid, but I was tempted to get the other page from this sequence where he hunts down the other guy, I think, but I wound up going with this one. And I think the Superman page I either got directly from Steve or brought it to him after to get signed, but I think I got it from a mutual friend of ours.
Okay. Cool. And I'm sorry, John. How long abouts did you say you got this? You think?
Oh shit. Probably in the 90s sometime.
Oh, okay. So also back then, yeah.
Steve moved out to Pasadena first, and then he moved a little farther east, wound up in Duarte before moving to Arizona.
Okay. Yeah, Rick's right, man. Yeah, they're both great pages. I mean, and that's what I love about them, though. Like I said, is one, it's world's finest. So if you were only going to have one page, realistically, you would wish you could get a great one with both characters, obviously. But
right.
But if you've got an opportunity to get a great page with only one of the characters, and then get an opportunity to get another page with the other character, right? And just pair them up. I mean, that's just as good. I mean, that's fantastic, So, and I think you did that really, really well here, John.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Loved the series. Art was amazing.
Yeah. How was the story? Do you remember?
I remember the story being okay. I know that it sold very well for Steve. I was actually, you're not going to believe this, but Steve had the painting to World's Finest #1 cover in his closet for decades.
Oh my God. I didn't know that. Wow.
And I was trying to save up to get money to buy it and never really kind of put it forward. And then I was talking to Alex one day and mentioned it that Steve still had it, and he had no idea. And he, asked me, I said, it's fine. You could pay him more than I could. And Steve, Alex bought it off of Steve for a nice price.
Oh, wow. Wow. Sorry, who? Oh, Alex?
Yeah, Alex Ross.
He's the one who has it right now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's oh God, that's an amazing cover, by the way. For those of you who don't remember the cover to #1, you should just check it out. What a beauty. Wow.
And it turns out that I used to have the back cover to #1 that was basically a matte painting of the front cover that Steve touched up with paint, where basically it was Superman and Batman standing side by side, and then the back cover they've kind of swooped out and you just see like the capes fluttering a little bit. And I had that in my collection, and Alex came out to LA and saw it in my collection, and I just gave it to him.
Okay. Wow.
And Caesar's right. I think Karl is a top-notch inker and deserves a lot of more credit than he gets, and he's also a great writer.
Yes, absolutely. And to follow up on that, of course, it's funny because for the last, 2-3 years, I've actually been telling some of my friends that how much I've come to appreciate Karl Kesel as an inker, because it's funny because although I was aware of him as he was starting his career, over the years, it seems that I would forget what projects he had done that I had seen when he was first starting out, right? And it was only in the last few years that I started realizing, I was like, holy crap. Not only is he good, so I love his work. He has for me become my favorite inker over Tom Grummett. Okay. And then I started noticing, wow. I was like, oh yeah, he did a really nice job. I remember I used to really like the job he was doing on John Byrne, of all people, on Superman. He was inking John Byrne on Superman when Byrne went to DC in 86, 87, right? And then I forgot he had also done some inking over George Perez on History of the DC Universe.
Yeah.
And again, I keep forgetting the other names, but he has worked with other big names. But again, including Steve Rude, And it's like everybody that he inks, he just does a phenomenal job. And so all these decades later, I'm realizing, holy shit, everything this guy does, he does a really commendable job. And yet he's not really talked about as one of the top inkers. But I'm going on record now as saying, in the last 35 years or so, he absolutely, I think he's one of the best inkers of the last 35 years, for sure. I think he's fantastic. So kudos to him. And yeah, also a pretty damn good writer as well. So yeah, very, very cool. And yo, what's up, Mike? Hey, coming in late on this one. Wow, what's up, man? How you doing? And Karl, I'll be picking up 2 pieces inked by Karl at Baltimore. Okay, there you go. Cool. Really dig his inks. Yeah, it's great for sure. John saying, hey, Mike, speak of the devil and he shall appear. How so? I just logged in now. I mentioned you, but not by name when Ruben showed my remaining Byrne Titans page. There you go. Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewind to see what we're talking about, Mike. All right, let's keep it going because it's getting close to the 3-hour mark, and yeah, a little bit behind on the artwork. But real quick, Rick says, according to Wiki, Kesel was nominated for the Eisner for Best Inker in 91 and 92. Very cool. Yeah, well deserved. 2016, he was nominated for Inkwell Awards Favorite Inker. Cool. Great. Yeah, there you go. So he has had some recognition. But again, when you think about it, that's 3 years out of like 35 or so, or 30, whatever it is. So he needs more recognition, especially from collectors and fans, Okay, let us continue with the show, everybody. And we will go from superheroes to pulp characters, because another fantastic 80s series with DC, when they exploded with Byrne going over and revamping all these post-crisis characters or whatever. Chaykin was at the peak of his artistic powers, I found, and I love that miniseries did of The Shadow, and we've got a page from that show. And not only do we have a page, we got a great page from that miniseries. I don't know if how many of you remember, and if you haven't seen it in a long time, you go back and you may be shocked to find out that, or you might even realize, oh yeah, the Shadow, looking like the Shadow in full regalia, he barely appeared in the damn series in the 4 issues. Yeah, and John has a page where he looks like he's supposed to look like. And they're very rare, so check it out. Number 4, yeah, page 19 from the 4th issue. And yeah, not only is he appearing the way he's supposed to look, but it's a fantastic action sequence. So brilliant piece here, John.
Yeah, thanks. I looked into this one. I always wanted one, and I had one previously, but it wasn't really. It was Shadow. I wish I still had it. It was Shadow flying in the sky car with the chick. It was part of sort of like a 2-pager, but I wound up selling it, and I wound up picking this up from what's not his Romanian man, Anthony. Okay. He had it on his website for like $600, and like if I remember my math correctly, there was like 16 pages in the whole miniseries that had him in full regalia, full costume.
16, huh?
16 out of what, wow. 48-page issues? So something nutso like that.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, like I said, I know they're rare. I remember, because I always remembered that he didn't appear in full regalia because of the fact that my memory of it was that, although I don't remember anything about the story, the memory that always stuck with me was simply the fact that I remember thinking, wow, even though he doesn't often appear with his full costume, I'm really digging this miniseries. That was my long-lasting memory of the miniseries, So, yeah, and that always stuck with me. So, from an art collecting standpoint, I always knew how, to get a really great page from the mini, not easy,
Yeah. And actually, if you saw it, I also have a sketch that I think might have been published in Amazing Heroes.
I did see all your sketches. Yeah, of course. You've got some fantastic sketches. Yes, yeah. Vintage era.
I wound up meeting Howard in '85, and my buddy from high school who was with me, his father was a producer, so that's how we all kind of hit it off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, very
From
cool.
Vacuum Salesman.
Sorry?
I was just John's comment. John C.
Oh, tonight for the vacuum salesman. You know John.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, Marcus. Yeah, it was, yeah, because of Chaykin, right? His power at the time. Yeah, man, like revamping. You would have thought that would have fallen by the wayside just because it's a pulp character, not a superhero. But man, like, I think the fact that he was revamping it and putting it in like modern times, I think that's what people were like, oh, okay, good. So it doesn't have to be like, so another retread of the 1930s pulps, blah, blah, blah. I think that was made it cool. But the funny, ironic thing is that a lot of the, lifelong pulp shadow fanatics,
yeah,
they're the ones who like just shat on the series because, it's not really like the Shadow. It's so different. It's in modern time. It's not the same. And for me, it was like, well, that's what I loved about it. It's like they modernized it. I love the Shadow as a character, right? I love him as a character, but it's like, I love movies that were made and or set in the 1930s, 40s, but for Shadow, it's kind of like, well, he was created back then. He's been around for 80, 90 years, whatever it is. Like, can we change it up at some point? Like it's a little bit passé, Yeah. So I thought that's the kind of thing that it needed to sort of get more readers on board, and yeah, man, I loved it, man. So
I loved it.
I've read it, but I want to. I'd like to.
Yeah. I've read it. I've reread it a couple of times, and there's just so much in there that, like, every time you kind of pick up on stuff, new things you missed before, whether it's something in the background or foreshadowing or something like that. I mean, Howard was, it's just brilliant.
Yeah. Mark says, Chaykin Shadow was a masterpiece of fashion and fonts. The lettering and coloring made this Miami Vice on print. Absolutely. And Michael says, it was so stylistically amazing. I agree. It almost didn't matter that how much the Shadow was in it. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say earlier, right? That you were so, like, if you loved Chaykin and if you enjoyed the Shadow, at least from a visual standpoint, it was so good. You were so taken by how beautiful it was that it was like you really didn't notice that much that he wasn't in it dressed up that way as much, So yeah, fantastic stuff. Yeah, it was really, just perfect relaunch at the perfect time, I think.
Yeah.
Really great. Sean,
I don't listen to old radio programs, old Shadow shows.
Right. I don't know if you might be behind, Sean, in terms of like your feed. You might want to just, if I can suggest, refreshing your browser, because you kind of came late with this comment. So maybe refresh your browser, because I think your feed might be slow.
Yeah. But they were married.
Still in the early 90s at a show when he was with Barbara Kesel. That's when they were still married, who wrote for comics. I never looked into if they they were married and then got divorced. He's remarried. And
Barbara was living here in the area for quite a while. I think she just moved back east somewhere, though.
Oh, okay. But did she remarry as well? I think so.
I'm assuming so, because she has a different last name. Oh,
right. Okay. Okay. There you go. So there you go. Dropping knowledge on this channel as always. Love it. Awesome. Never apologize, Scotty, for being late to the party. Thanks for dropping in. But let's keep it going, folks, because we are hitting in less than a minute the 3-hour mark. And
sorry.
Got to catch up here. All right. Next piece. A non-Batman Superman piece. Let's check this one out. I love it. A mini series that near and dear to my heart. I bought it when I was in my 1 year into my reading collecting, and I know Caesar's gonna love this one too.
Oh yeah.
Trevor Von Eden. And did I make a mistake? Was it? Yes, I made a mistake and I copied and pasted. Sorry, it's a Dick Giordano on the inks. Everybody, not Dan Atkins.
Yeah,
my apologies.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, but beautiful. How long have you had this one, man?
Long time.
Yeah, another one of the oldies, right? Yeah.
I used to have a second splash page, kind of. It was a more of a montage splash page from World's Finest with Green Arrow doing all sorts of things, jumping off. And it also had Vertigo on it. And I sold it, and God, I wish I had it back.
Yeah.
Caesar's got some great Von Eden stuff too.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said, and that's why I knew he'd appreciate it. And the Richter also, of course. Yeah. Fun 4-issue miniseries. Back in the day when, wow, like I loved the idea of the 4-issue miniseries. I was like, oh, wow, you can collect from number 1, and then it's going to be finite, only 4 issues, and you got a complete set. Wow, that's so cool. Yeah.
I can't believe how stupid DC Comics is. They have never collected this into a trade paperback.
I know. Isn't that weird?
The whole Green Arrow's TV show for what, 7-9 years was going on, and they never thought of collecting this, even if they put it together with the year 1 miniseries. Put them together.
That's my primary thought about, like, how is it that you didn't at some point, even if you think, whatever, this 4-issue series, I don't know, does anybody remember it or care? Even if you thought that as an editor or, collections manager or whatever, whoever's in charge of that, wouldn't you at least think, okay, but we have reprinted other Green Lantern material over the years, right? Sorry, Green Arrow, right? Yeah, Green Arrow, yeah. Like, what about compiling it into one of those or whatever? Like, something like that. I mean, that's what they did with Dead Man, because for years I was like, how come they haven't collected Garcia-Lopez's Dead Man miniseries? That's insane. Yeah. And finally, a few years back, they finally did, but in conjunction with a bunch of other appearances or whatever, But at least they did it finally, right?
I would have bought it. I mean, I'm not sure if you remember, but Trevor Von Eden actually started doing Green Arrow in like World's Finest and Detective backups, even though they were horribly inked by Coletta.
Yes.
But still, it would be nice to have one volume with all of Von Eden's Green Arrow in it.
Yeah.
Do it a Von Eden special and just throw in his Batman stuff too.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of ideas, but I don't know. They're just whatever. Whatever. Yeah, it's not even worth it. Okay, everybody. Let's not get angry. Let us move on. The next piece. One of my favorite, again, artists of the last 40 years. Not only one of my favorite artists, but one of my favorite Superman artists as well. And I never read this series, and I kind of wish I did. I don't know. It would be fun one day to try it. But I loved all the covers to this series. So awesome. He only did the covers. Let's check this one out. Beautiful stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Shazam, number 20. Yeah, Jerry Ordway. Oh, my gosh. And, of course, you got the one one of the two that he did with Shazam, with Superman as a guest star.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine has the other one, actually, here in Montreal. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Even though it's long-haired Superman with the snow blizzard and everything, Albert Moy had this cover. I got it from him probably in the mid to late 90s. And not sure how he got his hands on it, but I wound up trading him a painted Toth piece that I had. Because at the time, Jerry did not sell his art. And there were like no covers out there. And even though I knew Jerry, I didn't want to bother him. And when I saw Albert had this one, I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Him doing his two main characters that he's done for DC in one painted cover. I had to have it.
Yeah. Caesar wants it.
Yeah, not surprising. He's got a lot of stuff I want too.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. John is serenading you now. This is amazing. Okay, favorite one so far, John. Did I ever tell you that you're my hero? You're everything that I wish I could be. I could fly higher than an eagle, for you are the wind beneath my wings. All right, John. Nice. Appreciate that. Bette Midler, I believe. Yeah.
You're probably right. Yeah. Very funny. John.
Don't say. Yeah, Karl's getting angry. He says, "Don't say quote unquote, even though it's long hair Superman," because he's from that era. He loves the long hair Superman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's funny. I saw a video the other day where Mark Carlin was talking about it and was like, "Yeah, no one liked that long hair."
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. I'm with you, but again, we're older, so we're like a half generation ahead of Karl. So that's
yeah,
why for him, he was a kid. You know, he was a kid in that era. So for, you know how it goes. When you're a kid, the first things that you see, you love it. You love it forever. You know.
right. Well, the storylines were great. The whole death and return of Superman.
Yeah, for sure. This Shazam series though, how did you read it? How was it if you read it?
I thought it was great. I
Oh
loved
yeah.
it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I thought
Oh
Jerry did a great job updating it for the 90s and bringing in all the characters that previously existed, even, the tiger and everything. He brought all the characters in and made them work for a new generation. Yeah, I thought it was a great book, but I just, the sales, I guess, were not there.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean Shazam has never. It has never had a long longevity thing or whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever.
which
So
is funny because, in the 40s, it outsold Superman.
no, exactly. But yeah, but think about what a different time it was, right? So
Oh, yeah.
it's so yeah, so totally different. Yeah. Anytime you see long hair Soups painted, you think it was for a trading card. All those trading cards back then had him seemingly. I wonder if any trading cards from the '90s even had a short-haired Superman. I
Good
can't.
question.
I don't know if I can think of any. DC, don't shut down schools for no freaking snowstorm. Nice. All right, let's keep it going and jump to the next piece. And for that, oh yes, a favorite of many people's. The late and long departed
Oh,
Don
yeah.
Newton. Yeah, Detective Comics 505. Yeah, gorgeous. And of course, I'm sure a lot of people in the chat will probably be pointing out how the money shot is panel 2 and how brilliant that is. And they would be right. But the whole thing is just brilliant. The whole thing. Yeah, absolutely
I
phenomenal.
I actually got this page in trade from Mike Davis.
Oh, nice. Mike again. Wow. Look at that, Mike. Wow. Cool.
Mm-hmm. I had a different page that I really, really liked. I had a page that was Batman versus Bronze Tiger with the head of the old master,
Yeah.
the old Asian guy with the long mustache and everything. And it was
Yeah.
from like the issue where Batwoman dies, I believe. But Mike really liked it. It was an issue that was near and dear to him. And he hit me up for a trade with another piece of art with this one. So I'd be getting another Don Newton Batman page. That's really nice. And another page of art for my collection. I know he wants it back. I don't blame him. I'd want it back too, but I don't want to let it go for that reason also, because it's a great page.
Yeah, no, I absolutely can understand that. I am stunned that you and me have both talked about this page and not a single person in the chat has anything to say about it. Are you guys fucking nuts? Like, what's wrong with you? Come on. I know some of you guys in the chat love Don Newton and love this page. How the hell are you not making a single comment? Is there a problem with the chat comments or something? That doesn't make sense to me. How is not a single comment coming in? Okay. Rick saying he's speechless, so that makes sense. Okay, but yeah, that's really weird. Wow. I'm sensing a theme for tonight's show: snow and fishnets. I know I I always tip the snowplow guy when he puts in the extra effort. Nice. Now the comments will start coming in. Only when I start begging for them, Whole page is fantastic. Absolutely. Yeah.
I was a huge Newton fan. I loved his stuff. I really sad and to hear when he passed and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Batman.
And for the longest time, you could not find Newton art. It was very far and few between.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. I agree. Yeah, Sean, look at that. That's an awesome Steve Rude World Finest page.
He's joking about the lagging, yeah.
Nice, nice. Caesar, busy doing the dishes. No worries, no worries. Ruben loves these colors. You know what, Marcus? I do. I don't know if I love them, but I do like them. To me, these colors with the newsprint paper, I think are good. Yeah, I for this era, I think they're good. Yeah, I enjoyed this. Yeah, yeah. To me, it's not hideous. Yeah, Newton's Batman is second only to Neil Adams. I've heard people say that. Yeah,
yeah.
I actually have a friend who is not a Neil Adams fan, and he puts Newton above Adams.
Wow.
So, yeah, Don Newton greater than Newton rings. There you go.
Big Newtons.
Big Newton's nice, nice. All right, very page.
Yeah, I remember in the '80s when were going back and forth between Batman and Detective, and Gene Colan was one, and
every 2 weeks.
A huge Colan fan at the time, you know.
Oh my God, John! I can't tell you how much I loved that period of Batman. And let me tell you, I remember clearly. Nobody was buying Batman. Nobody was buying anything from DC. Nobody, like pre-crisis, it was like where I live. It was so the sales were so bad. And then I remember reading things that were saying at DC that if it wasn't for the fact that Warner's, with the whole intellectual property and everything, and and merchandising and all that, if it wasn't for that, they were saying that Superman, Batman, Action, Detective, they would be canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't bother. That's how bad they were selling. It was just, but it was good for IP. They had to keep it going, obviously. But nobody cared. Now, Superman, I kind of understand. He always had these hokey villains, whatever. I can understand. But man, I was buying Detective and Batman at the time. My God, the art was incredible in both titles. The fact that you bought one title and 2 weeks later you bought the next one and the story continued and you'd go back and forth every 2 weeks. Back. And it was fantastic story and art. I was like, I kept telling people at the store, like, do you read Batman or Detective? Do you read any of the Batman? No, I don't read any DC. And what? You're making such a great comic. It's like some of them would be like, well, the only DC I read is Teen Titans. I'm like, okay, that's great. But like, you got it on Batman and Detective. Oh my God, it's so great, Yeah, and it wasn't until '89 with the Batman movie hype building up to the movie that finally people started, let me check out Batman comics again, and I guess Dark Knight or whatever, but yeah.
Which was funny because when in that time, they had, Jim Aparo still doing Batman, and, I love Aparo's 70s stuff from the 70s, but at that point, Aparo was kind of tired, and didn't look so great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was on the decline, a little bit by the later '80s, early '90s. Yeah.
Could you imagine if they had, when the movie came out, they had hired Frank Miller to write it? No,
yeah. But whatever. But it was great. A lot of people who didn't read the '80s, I would say, like 1983 to '86. Or 87-ish, that period. Wow, 3-4 years of like just brilliant art, and the stories were really good too. Doug Mensch, I believe, was the writer, at least on one of the titles.
Yeah.
Can't remember who the other one would have been. Whatever, Denny O'Neil, maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah, I was an artist follower, so I that's why I don't remember who usually who the writers were. Even though when I enjoyed the stories, I would still remember the comics for the artist, not the writer,
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic page. So Kite Man gets no respect. Love all this DC talk. I know you do, Tom. You picked it's a good show to be able to watch tonight. All right, let's go on to the next one. And for that, one of the rare, I believe only pieces in tonight's show and tell from John's non-published commissions, if you will, collection. And now only because, most people do prefer published art, and that's why I want to keep it to a minimum. But I love it, and so I figured I'd show it. Let's check this one out.
Yeah.
Wonder Girl by Dan Brereton, not who you would normally, think of as a guy who, was a Titans artist or anything, but yeah, great artist, and yeah, it's a beautiful piece, and it's, I believe, one of the pieces he did in your sketchbook, John.
No, this is actually a loose piece.
Oh,
Not in my sketchbook, but a loose piece.
okay.
I've known Dan for years and been friends with him since the '90s. And we were at WonderCon, I think, one year, and he brought a bunch of like, it's like 9 by 12 paper, maybe, I want to say, that he had
Okay.
done rough layouts, like the figure of, but
Yeah.
not any details. And I just saw this one. I said, "Oh, that's really nice. How about Wonder Girl?" And he said, "Sure." And like he did it up the next day, and this is the end result, and I love it.
Yeah, fantastic. Wow.
I think I picked a good pose.
Yeah. And 20 years old already. It's kind of hard to believe, I'm sure, right, for you?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Who is Donna Troy indeed? There she is. Yeah. It's a beautiful piece. She looks really pissed, and yet somehow pissed is still sexy, beautiful.
Yeah.
And Sean says, that is an outstanding Wonder Girl pinup, and saved that image a few years ago when I saw it was first posted on CAF. That's cool. Yeah, that's really good. Love Dan's work, says Tom. And things bubble up like a root beer float. You guys got to rewind if you haven't been here since the beginning to understand what he's talking about. I'll see your 4 stars and raise you a star for 5 stars. Yeah, there you go. Awesome, guys. There we go. And Brick Folds. There you go. Perfect. Love that. It's those pouty lips.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's everything. I mean, she's just well built, and yeah, just all around everything. Why is her lasso hanging around her bum? It's noticeable enough without it. Yeah, maybe it's to draw attention, to frame the bum. I don't know, but yeah, really fun piece, and yeah, congrats on owning that one too, John. Of course.
Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's keep it going. From one of my favorite Teen Titans characters, I thought this would be a perfect segue for this piece, and that's why I set it up this way on this next one. Check it out. The Brave and the Bold, number 83, page 11, by the aforementioned Neil Adams, featuring the Teen Titans, featuring very, very much younger Wonder Girl. So I thought that was awesome. I had to show this one.
Yeah. This page I picked up off of Albert. I was bidding on eBay for it, and last minute, Albert outbid me.
Oh, right, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I called him up, and I was like, "Man, what's the deal? Did you buy this for yourself, or you buy this to resell? Because I want it."
Yeah.
And wound up basically cutting a deal on the phone with him later to get this page. This was a favorite issue of mine growing up of, World's Brave and the Bold, and I read it so much the cover fell off. And
oh, yeah. One of those, huh?
Yeah, and I missed out on a good opportunity on getting a different page from it earlier on, although it was only a Batman and Robin page. But was really happy to get this with that Titans center panel.
Yeah. Oh, it's really fun, man. I never read it myself. I did read, I think it's Brave and Bold 102, another Titans appearance. I did read that one, but I never read this one. Do you remember anything about the story, or do you remember if you I guess you tore the cover off, so I guess you loved it at the time. But have you read it like in the ensuing years as an adult?
Yeah, this story. Yeah, this is where this kid shows up and he's like Bruce Wayne's new ward, and winds up discovering, Batman's secret identity and causes all sorts of trouble. But then in the end, he rights his wrongs, and he dies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, and it's Neil Pencils and Inks, everybody, just so you know. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't remember it was the inks by Neil, but yeah, just loved it. It's Neil, and still my only Adams page left.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, very, very cool. All right. We're almost done, everybody. So we are gonna move. There's a couple more pieces to show, but those of you who've been here from the start will remember that Marcus had made a comment and referred to me as Ruben the Soda Jerk. And I mentioned that term was going to come up later in the show. And so, therefore, I'm going to show you guys something. This next piece is not, to be clear, it's not a piece that John owns the original to. But you'll see in a moment, as John will explain to us, I'll give you a little background on this piece. Why we're showing it, why I decided I wanted to show this. Okay, so check this one out. Check it out. Thor 13 from 2019. It's a variant by Alex Ross, as you can see. There's a soda jerk there who might be looking familiar at this moment. Maybe not. I don't know. Let me see. Do it again, John.
Or is it this way? But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There you go. Man. Yeah. So tell everybody a little story about this, John.
So I've been friends with Alex going back to the mid '90s when I worked at Image, and it's always been a thing to be immortalized in a comic. But he called me up one day and said that he had this idea and wanted to put me on a cover, and I'm like, okay. And he sent me sent over a rough prelim of the cover and the pose, and I had a friend take some pictures of me, standing by the sink with a glass in my hand and a towel and a little hat on my head to look like a soda jerk. And this is the end result. The cover.
And there you go, everybody. Don't ever say that I don't go the extra steps to show you what we're talking about. Yeah, so that's one of the many pictures that John had his friend take for the photo rep. Not the one ultimately used, I assume, since it's he still caught your likeness, and yet you're smiling with a slightly open mouth in the final painting, right?
I think I sent him a couple of photos, and I don't remember if I kept them all because I don't usually. But I just put this one up there, even though it's probably not the exact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can shine the table. Definitely a great story. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun story. That's what I love about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. You're forever immortalized by the great Alex Ross, no less. So that's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. I saw the right picture in Playboy once. Oh yeah, the one on the right. You saw it in Playboy once, did you? Spanish Playboy. We'll have to look for that issue. Maybe call Greg Land.
Yes, there is.
Thor's.
You notice there's Canada Dry in the picture there in my breakfast nook area.
Yeah,
that's right. Used for storage.
That's right. Is that Monica Lewinsky on the right? Oh, is that an insult, Mark? I don't think you'd be insulting. I'm not really sure what you're getting at, though. But that's a kind of a weird comment. Explain yourself, Mark. I think we deserve an explanation on that one. Oh, I thought John was the Thor character. Well, of course. You can easily make that mistake. I can understand. Look at the physique, But didn't serve root beer floats?
Of course they did.
What's that on her dress? I don't know. Ask Monica. Monica can tell you, I guess. Green, the dress is green, not blue. That's right. But yeah, that's fun. And that's perfect. I was going to show this regardless, but that piece showing it right then and there is perfect because I figured it's a great segue into showing you guys the second to last piece in tonight's show and tell, which is this one. Also comes with a nice, interesting little background story, which adds to the fun. Check it out.
Yeah, this is a piece that Alex did in my sketchbook for me. I want to say maybe 96, maybe not 94, but 96.
because I think it's mentioned in the on your gallery. I think it's mentioned as 94. I think that's where I got the year.
Okay, maybe so, but I don't think, I mean, I sort of met Alex in 93, 94, but I
Okay.
think this came 2 years later in 96, if I remember.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. You're telling people, correcting the
Yeah,
yeah.
if I did, I was mistaken. And, the memory's not what it used to be. So,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. No
but
worries. But
I had
imagine
asked,
that. But imagine that. I gotta. Sorry, John. I just want to tell everybody. Think about this, guys. You see it right there. Obviously, it looks exactly like the published cover, and you would think, like, if I told you, oh yeah, this is an issue that's being solicited right now, you would believe it, right? And yet, this is in the mid '90s that it was actually done, and not only was it done in the mid '90s. But and correct me if I am wrong again, John, because I've been wrong already this evening. But I believe this one, I'm right when I say this one was done in your sketchbook, correct?
yes, that
Yeah.
is indeed in my sketchbook. It's
Wow.
right before the Watchmen piece, I believe.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. So think about that, guys. Like, this is a sketchbook piece. To have this level of finish in a sketchbook, I mean, that's incredible, man. Yeah, that's just wow. Wow. Amazing, amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Did he
When
but
I,
he sorry, John. I was just saying that did he did this at home? He took the
yes,
sketch home?
yes, he
Yeah.
took the sketchbook back to Chicago. Um, I had met him, and
Thank you, Sean.
what's
Sorry,
that?
I'm just thanking Sean. I was just thanking
Oh,
Sean for giving me a compliment on the selections of art for the show. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting, John.
no problem. And basically, when I first met Alex, like Kingdom Come One had come out, and I started talking to him because you could tell from the image that he painted for Planet Krypton that he was into the old DC stuff, and he had all these things hanging and from old stories, and I was into that as well. I started talking to him and asked him, what else do you collect? Thinking, that he was also into memorabilia and other stuff. And sure enough, I was right. And he was mentioning that he was having problems trying to complete his treasury editions, and he was looking for some DC and Marvel calendars. And I said, yeah, I see that stuff all the time at the local monthly LA show. Give me a list and I'll help you find stuff. And
Right.
that's kind of how things started. I found them a bunch of books and calendars, and then moved on to Mego figures and all this stuff. And the early stuff, was cheap, and I paid for it out of my own pocket and just sent it to him. And he did return the favor by doing this in my sketchbook for me.
That's amazing. Amazing. I mean, that's what I love about collectors such as yourself who've been around as long as you have, is that I love the stories as much as I love the stories behind the art as much as I love the art itself,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know, so this Alex did a plate for Warner Brothers studio stores where they asked him to come up with like a new image. And Alex calls me up and says, "Hey, John, that piece in your sketchbook I did for you, has it ever been published?" I said, "No, it hasn't." He goes, "Okay, great, bye." And couple of months later, I see that the Warner Bros. Studio Store is coming out with a new plate, and it's basically the exact same image, except Robin and Batgirl have switched places, and he's gone with like an adult Dick Grayson in the classic costume that's you could see, and
Yeah.
did a mirror piece of this basically.
Wow. That's really, really cool, man. That's all I can say. It's
Yeah.
really, really awesome. Really, really awesome. So great. It's unfortunate. Like, I wish you owned the Thor cover just because you're on it as a character. Obviously, that would be really incredible. But it's nice that at least you still do have an Alex piece, and it's funny how it just like that long ago, almost 30 years ago, you get it done with this great backstory. It's in your sketchbook. And then all these years, like literally decades later, we're gonna use it for a cover now. Now it's a cover. Like, That's amazing. So at least
I don't even circulate the sketchbook anymore because, back then it was, whatever. It wasn't such a big deal. But now prices have gone so astronomical that it's not worth, shipping around and getting other artists to do stuff anymore.
No, I get it. Yeah, absolutely.
Most artists don't want to take the responsibility either.
That's true too. That's true. And a lot of them, for obvious reasons, but a lot of them also because they know themselves. They know that they're like careless and that they know they're going to kind of misplace it or whatever, and they're like, yeah, no, I'd rather not. No, I won't. Don't ship me the book or whatever, Yeah. So yeah, people shouldn't anyways. I mean, to me, we've talked about that on this channel in the past about how, people have had some trouble with, shipping books around and stuff, different artists, whatever. And as the book gets fuller and fuller, it's like, wow, as a collector, how could you dare risk taking that risk? I could never do that. This, like you say, John, especially now with the price of what art is worth now. I mean, gosh.
This sketchbook is not full. It's probably not barely about half full, but it just started getting to the point where, the art in it and people doing, sketches in it. Like, I had Dave Gibbons do a Watchmen piece for me in my sketchbook, and I've got a Steve Rude painted Superman piece in there. And it just, as prices escalated and, started getting looks and stuff like that, I said, maybe I'll just keep it home. And I did lose a sketchbook to one artist, partly my fault for not following up more, sooner, but I let it go on for years. And then when I followed up, he said, I think I don't have that anymore. So
I get it. It sucks. Mark is asking, it's the Christmas plate?
It's not the Christmas plate. It was the incentive for the Christmas plate. Alex did this first. And when he was asked to do a plate for DC, he called me, asked me if it had been published. When I told him no, it hadn't, he decided to sort of rip off himself and redo the piece, but for the Christmas plate.
Okay. There you go. And I don't know if it was a joke or a serious question, but Marcus had been asking about Alex Ross. Did he care about condition?
It's a little warped, but that's to be expected with watercolors on the paper that's in the book.
Exactly.
I mean, the funny thing is when he sent the book back to me and it was fine and everything, but he didn't like personalize it. It was just Alex Ross. And after a dealer like snatched the book out of my hands and threatened to rip the page out, I don't want to go there, but but he, because it didn't have my name on it, he's like threatening to rip it out and, claim it's his or whatever. And so when I saw Alex one time after that, I asked him to personalize it to me. And Alex thought it was being like, because I wanted to show everyone I was like, Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal kind of a thing. But it was just so that it would be personalized and have my name. So Alex signed it like Love, Alex Ross and all this stuff, which was funny.
Yeah. Lee, I get you. I understand that too. I also, I mean, I'm not a sketch collector, as you know, but if I did, I also would be scared of just, okay, yeah, sure, leave me your sketchbook at the convention, and I'll come back maybe later or tomorrow or whatever. Yeah, I'd be worried of ever letting a sketchbook out of my hands, Yeah, and walking away. Yeah, that's just that's just me. But okay, so Marcus meant no. He was referring to the stuff that you hunted for him in that story.
What about it?
Did he care about condition?
Oh, yes, definitely. Some of it he did. Because like one of the things that he wanted was like a Mego Isis doll, but traditionally the faces would turn gray on it. So I had to hunt and find one that was not gray and that was still in the bubble, that hadn't yellowed, and it was in great condition for him.
Okay, there you go. John asks, do you have a watch that when you press a button, Alex appears?
No. Go back up to Sean's.
That was going to be my next one. Yeah, there you go. Does Alex Ross collect art from other people?
sometimes certain car artists, and I have tracked down pieces for him in the past that some he's asked for, or other ones I've just saw and thought of him and sent it to him, and he says, "Yeah, I want that." So it's he's got a few pieces here and there, and I mean, one guy was selling a big piece that was right here in Burbank, and I picked it up personally, and then had to pack it up and ship it off to him. It was like 24 by 36 painting.
Wow, that's a big one.
But he's got a few Steve Root pieces, and he's got some Neil Adams and some other stuff.
Okay, cool. All right, everybody. That leads us to our final piece for tonight's show and tell. Your sketchbook is like a signed checkbook with details of payee left blank. Nice. Yeah, so as I was saying, leads us to the final piece in tonight's show and tell. And I chose to put this one as the final one because, interestingly enough, for I'd never read this, the stories that this is from, and I'm a great artist, so that's another reason to show it. But never read it, and I'd always been curious. And I asked some friends recently if they had read it and what they thought, and they said, "Oh yeah, it's good, very good. You should read it." Of course, it's one of these things, whatever. It's out of print, and I looked on Amazon, and I found a reasonable price copy that seems to me would be the price I would pay if it was published today, because I refuse to pay above cover price for collected editions. Okay, it's like I'm not a collector. I just want to read the damn thing.
Right.
And on Amazon, one of these third-party sellers, all the way in Ireland, of all places, he seems to have 2 or 3 copies available. We'll see what condition it ends up showing up in, whatever. But I was like, okay. So I put an order in. I took a chance because I want to read it. But and this is just a few days ago, the shipping from Ireland was only $9 and change, like less than $10. I'm assuming that's because he's sending it by boat, and because it also says that it's not going to be expected to arrive until like mid-August or something. So it's probably going on by boat. So
right.
I hope, as long as I eventually get it, I hope I can get it so I can read it. But fantastic artist, and this art is from that series. So
I'm dying to find out what you're talking about.
What's that?
I'm dying to find out what you're talking about.
So I was thinking I might give you enough of a hint that hey, it might ring a bell, but okay, no bells for you. Yeah. So no, we'll just show everybody, no problem. All right, everybody, here, let me cue this up and show you. Great piece. And anybody else, by the way, if you've read this, let me know. Not that it matters anymore because I bought it and it's, I'll read it eventually. But let me know if you read it and you liked it, or if you didn't like it. Here we go. Let's check this out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Speak, John, speak.
This is a favorite of mine. I love it. I love Alan Davis. And like I said, I had a different Alan Davis cover beforehand. But God, this is so long ago. I couldn't tell you how long I've had it. All I remember is that I was going through Gary Land's collection one time, and he had this listed in his collection for sale for $2,500.
Gary Land?
Yep.
Okay. Wow.
And I'm not one who's, I probably should have done this more, but I'm not one who likes to do time payments. It's
me too. Me too. Yeah.
If I can't afford it now, I probably shouldn't buy it, kind of a thing.
Me too. Same thing. Yeah, me too. Yep, exactly.
But this one is one that I made some payments on because it was just fantastic. It was a great series. Really enjoyed it. A lot of fun. The first one especially. He did a follow-up, but it was also, I think, the first time Alan Davis wrote something. And it was just a really great, fun series. I love the Elseworld stuff, and I love what he did with this story.
Yeah. So you would be one of those who says this. So it's not just the art, or put the art aside for a moment. you would say that would you describe the story as great, good, or let's start from worst to best. Would you describe it as good, very good, or even great?
I'd have to say, I mean, great. It was a lot of fun. I remember reading it. I remember the stuff that went on. He had just about everyone ever from the Justice League and DC Universe in these books. It was just amazing. Just it was amazing art. It was shocking and just different, but enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay, great.
I mean, do you know why it's called a nail?
I do, because before I put the order in, when I decided that I'd take a chance and buy it from that guy, I decided, okay, let me at least try to find a synopsis for it and to figure it out. And and they kind of mentioned it in the synopsis. So that's pretty cool, you know. And what a way to finish. I need a smoke now. Well done. 4.0, 6.5, or an 8, says CJ. So apparently they guess that's an 8. That would be an 8 from John.
Yeah.
And great cover, Davis Jew, everyone. Yeah. It's really, it's beautiful. Super, super beautiful. So I'm really looking forward to reading it. Not only to look through the great art, but I'm in the mood to I hope it's like a really great story for me. So
pages rarely show up these days, but I remember a point in time where like the whole sequence with Batman, Robin, Batgirl, and Joker was like up on eBay, and it was like 2 or 3 pages, and it was like, oh man, I should go for that, and I didn't, and wish I had to, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It always happens, you know.
Yep.
But thank you, everybody. Yeah, man. I you know, if you guys are pissed off that we went so long, I apologize. You know,
sorry,
John. I apologize to you. I'm sorry. I know you're probably starving though. At least, so you know. So I would think you're.
No, I snacked on my apple. Sorry.
Okay.
You know, we're all buds, so getting us together and talking, it's like minds kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I thought, you know, by trying to keep you from telling any stories from your days working at Image, I thought, oh yeah, we'll make it probably be about 3 hours this time, you know. But of course, you know, whatever, we do a lot of chatting it's hard to keep it, you know. But yeah, whatever.
All that soda jerk and root beer float stuff, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the what do you call it? The A&W root beer float stuff. But I appreciate you not saying anything about it and doing it in the first place. Really appreciate that, dude. Also, everybody, so you know, we mentioned earlier near the top of the show, you know, as John had mentioned, so he had worked at Image for a little while in the formative years of the company, and so you know he's got some fun stories, you know, of his time at the publisher. And you know me, I love to talk. I love to hear other people talk, giving background stories about stuff and time in the hobby. So as we mentioned earlier, John's more than happy to come back at some point a little bit down the road. We'll do a hangout episode, and he'll just regale us with tales, you know, fun tales of his time at Image, you know, as they tie into art and sometimes not tie into art, whatever, you know. I think that'll be really fun, and which is a great segue, because you guys may remember 5 weeks ago I did a show and tell with Greg Goldstein, and Greg Goldstein, you may remember, he's the guy who had been 12 or 14 years at IDW. He worked at Upper Deck.
Yeah, and he's got an impressive resume.
Yes, and then going back to the 90s, he was at Topps Comics. So when they were doing the Mignola stuff, the Kirby stuff, and so he's got fun and interesting tales to tell. And so he is going to be my guest for next Sunday, because Greg has decided to come back. It'll be a hangout, just the 29th episode of Comic Art Hangout, just to talk about the Topps years. You know, Greg Goldstein at during the Topps years. Says he's got some fun stories to talk about, and so he agreed to come back. I said, all right, I want to do that. Let's do that. Let's kick back and just listen to stories. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. I'll show you the thumbnail for that. But just before I do, let me catch the last several dozen. The last dozen or so comments from you guys that I've missed here. Hold on. So bet this was the same nail that gave Nick his flat. All right, Nick got a nail in the tire a few weeks ago. That's right. Davis was awesome talking at the Westin. Oh, that's cool. Fun above average show, Ruben. Attaboy. Thank you, Sean. Thank you. It's fun every week. Come on, man. We always have fun. A superb curation of exceptional DC art. Thanks, John, says Mark.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And no image pieces. And well, here's the thing. As I always say, guys, we're only showing about 20 pieces or so, but that's why you should use the link down below in the description. John's appropriate link for his gallery is there. Use it right now and go spend some time in his gallery and see all the other amazing stuff, especially the sketch collections, all the sketchbooks and stuff, which I only showed one piece of tonight. So there's a lot more stuff that, I can't show on a show and tell. So, use that link and check it out. He ate dinner in the hotel Friday night. Larry Tunn wouldn't let him out of sight. Okay. Sorry, I didn't get that one. I'm lost. Very impressed by your collection, John. Ruben, please share my email with John. Okay, I will. Would love to do a meetup with local collectors. Okay, sure.
Sounds good, Lee.
I will do that. Absolutely. Karl, thanks for sharing, John. Looking forward to the rewind. Excellent. Image, the darker side. Has Ruben ever tried? Have I ever tried an icy? I'm not even sure I know what that is, but is that one of those big cups that's full of an icy thing with liquid, like a sugary liquid? Is that what that is?
7-Eleven.
Like one of those 7-Eleven. Okay, I have tried those things.
It's like an icy.
We call those slushies over here.
Slushies. Yeah.
Slushies. You remember that, right, John? Yeah.
Yep.
Slushies.
Yep.
Slushies. Yeah. So I guess the answer is yes, Marcus. Cogan from Image, Goldstein from Topps, and IDW. There you go. That's what I'm saying. I figured. I don't know. I like talking to people who have these sort of connections to the hobby that way on a professional basis, and I think they always have good stories. So why not, right? Lots of inside scoop. Yeah. As much as can be told, I guess, Pancho, thank you, Rick. Great picks, thank you, and a fantastic collection.
Thanks, Rick.
Well, I will say, it's also easy to pick fantastic picks when the collections are that strong as well, So credit to you, John, of course, naturally,
Thanks.
The inside scoop. Sorry, John.
I said, Rick, save some Sable pages for me because he just added 2 or 3 to his collection recently.
Yeah, and I will privately reach out to both of you, Rick and Caesar, to ask you about that issue of Sable, if you happen to know where it might be or whatever. I probably can't afford it anymore anyway. So, Ruben Show has become an inside the industry show. It hasn't. But I'm trying to mix it up and do a little. Why not do a little different type stuff? Why not? My interaction with Image was with Jim Valentino when I tried to get him to publish Jim Starlin's Breed 3, but the contract was a problem for Jim. Interesting. At least try. That's cool.
That, Sean.
What'd you just say, John?
It'd just be interesting to hear what he has to say.
Right.
Jim, I got nothing but nice things to say about Jim. He was great.
Yeah. You know what, Marcus? I've never had him on officially, as you remember. That wasn't an official appearance he made. But yes, me and Nick. I mean, we talked about it originally we were just going to get together and do a sales show since he does the sales show and I sometimes do sales shows. I figured, okay, let's do an affordable art type sales show. But yeah, he's got so many stories. I think I'd rather do something like that where he regales everybody with tales from his days as a publisher and his days at Dynamic Forces and doing Home Shopping Network and things like that. Yeah, I think I'd rather do that than another sales show with him, actually, to be honest. So I'll have to talk to him and see if he wants to do that. But Marcus, everybody, me and Nick doing a show together from the beginning, you're in for a 5 or 6 hours. So that's the thing. Ruben pounds back 3 slushies before each show. Where do you think all this energy comes from? I don't know where I get the energy, to be honest, because when it comes to working out, I never have enough energy to do much. So, but for talking, I somehow can do it. Zevia. New title, Ruben Insiders. I don't know. Maybe I should kind of do a different thing, but I'll keep it as Hangout, as episodes of Hangout for now. I didn't know that each partner at Image published comics separately. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. The contract issue was, the contract issue he's telling you, John, was movie rights related.
Okay. Yeah.
That makes sense because that's where the bigger money might come from, right? So,
yeah.
So dinner time, indeed. Oh, for Nick. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I got a spider. But I don't like creepy crawlies, so I got to go kill that soon. But but Nickel, he'll tell Pam that he's got to take the night off from dinner for me for sure if he has to. I think we'll do that. I'll get in touch with him and we'll talk about that. But again, thank you everybody. We will leave you with the thumbnail for next week's show with Greg Goldstein. And close it out that way. Don't hang up on me, okay, John?
Okay,
please, thank you. And again, thanks all of you. Thank you to those of you on Rewind who keep watching the shows. And the Rewind views have been going higher. And that's really appreciated. So thank you guys, as always, whoever you are. And last, thank you. Appreciate it, Caesar. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Caesar.
I did forget to do this. Sorry, everybody. Not you guys watching, but in case these people are watching, just wanted to shout you guys out. The newest subs from this past week: Barrett Russell, Noel Daniels, Emic is Scary, Apex Comics, Now TU Sart, not TU Sart. Sorry, don't know how to pronounce that. And the few anonymous guys whose names I couldn't see. So welcome and thank you. I hope you guys tune in to the live show like Evgeny has been doing 2 weeks in a row. At some point, if you have the chance, that's the funnest part of my content is it's built for the live audience. So that's when it's more fun. So if you can tune in live, please do so. But thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. And let me get that off the screen. And yes, have a good night, Tom. Appreciate you as always. Thank you so much. John C., of course, great show. Thank you very much. Great collection. Have a great night. Thank you. I should name the spider Emic. No, I'm just gonna. I don't see him anymore, so I don't know. I guess I can't kill him now. But yeah, thank you. Don't forget next show this coming Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, and then we'll catch you here at the usual time next week. And here we go. Greg Goldstein discussing Topps Comics. On Comic Art Hangout, episode 29. Yeah. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great work week and stay safe out there. Keep enjoying your summer, and we'll catch you next week. Peace and go blue.